The February 18th, 2026 hearing for the Planning and Land Development Regulation Commission is now called to order. And if I could, have everyone silence any audible devices that you may have. And if you could please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I need to rephrase that. It's the February the 19th, 2026 hearing. Okay. I'm a day behind here. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us this morning. And if I could have Ms. Grinning, could you please have a roll call, please?
Member Arison?
Present.
Member Craig? Here. Member Shelley?
Here.
Member Costa?
Here.
Member Bush?
Here.
Member Sixma?
Here.
Chair Mills?
Here. Thank you, Ms. Grinning. Okay, we do have minutes from January 15th, 2025. Any discussion on those minutes? If not, I'll accept the motion.
I'll make a motion. We approve January 15 minutes,
I'll second that.
Yeah, I got,
2026.
Oh, I will amend my, do
okay.
you want to amend your motion?
January 15,
I had a
2026.
typo. Where is it? Okay, that's the minutes from January 15th,
Says it on top.
2026.
Yeah.
Pardon?
It says it
yeah.
on top.
January 15th, 2026.
Yes, it does, but he did not say it when he
She
read
said
it
I
in.
said
He said
25.
2025. That's all.
Catch
Just for
up,
the
come
record.
on.
Yeah.
I'm still writing
Okay, I'll
check
clarify
25.
that. January 15th, 2026. I got a motion from Mr. Sixma and a second from Ms. Bush. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is unanimous. Approved by unanimous. Okay. If anyone would like to speak for or against any of the cases being heard today, if I could get you to please fill out a form at the rear of the dais here and give it to Ms. Grinning to my extreme left. And we will be limiting you to a 3-minute time limit. And after the comments have been heard, I will give the applicant an opportunity to address any concerns the speakers have and answer any questions the commissioners may have. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Soria for legal comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this is for members of the public and the applicant, and I'm glad to see a lot of members of the public here, that decisions by this body on cases which rezone real property from one classification to another pursuant to the zoning ordinance are recommendations only to the county council and do not constitute a final hearing. So new evidence may be introduced at the county council public hearing. However, decisions on variances and special exceptions made by this body constitute final action subject to an appeal to the county council. And what this means is that no new evidence may be presented at the time of the county council public hearing on the appeal. An aggrieved party that appeals such a decision is confined to the record made before this body. Hearings by this body on rezonings, special exceptions, and variances are quasi-judicial in nature, meaning that this body is acting more like a court and must take into account all oral, written, or demonstrative evidence presented. Their decisions on these cases must be based on competent substantial evidence in the record, and competent substantial evidence has been defined as that evidence a reasonable mind would accept to support a conclusion. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Soria. And while on legal comments, I'd like to ask the commission to disclose for the record any ex parte communications that have occurred before or during the public hearing at which a vote is to be taken on any quasi-judicial matter. And I'll start to my immediate right with Mr. Urson.
None.
I have none. None.
None.
None.
None.
And I have none. Okay, we do have a couple of items to be continued. B26009, Ms. Costa, that's one's yours.
Hi, good morning. Both of these items did not meet public notice requirements, so they'll be continued to March.
Okay, so that's B26009 and B26023.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, if I take a motion to
I'll make a
continue.
motion to continue to February PLDRC?
March.
Is that-
I'll second.
March.
Yeah, March. Yeah. I'll second that.
2026. I'll second that.
I didn't say any year.
What is our next commission date? March what?
March 19th.
19.
Okay. We got a motion on the floor to continue both variances V26009 and V26023 to our next PLDRC meeting of March 19th, 2026. From Mr. Sixma, who seconded that?
No, actually,
I think it was,
Edith said
I
first.
seconded it.
Yeah. I second Edith went first.
Mr. Urson, and a second from Mr. Sixma. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we do not have any unfinished old business, so we're going to move right into our new business. And Ms. Shelley, could I get that read into the record, please?
Yes, sir. Case number V-26-015. Variances to the accessory structure requirements on urban, single-family, residential R3 zoned property.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. And let me see who this one is. This is Mr. Costa.
Hi,
Ms.
good morning.
Costa.
Good morning, members.
Good morning.
Before you, we have a variance request for a 86 square foot pergola to be
Yeah, I can't hear you.
allowed in a, thank you, to be permitted within front yard setback, and also to allow for a reduction in the front yard from 30 feet to 19 feet. Applicant is seeking to put this structure within his front yard. Property is zoned R3 and is exempt from the provisions of the subdivision regulations per DeNorse unrecorded 2026 SEXM 116. Property has two front yards. It is a corner lot. He's proposing to place this pergola in front of his front door. The property is located on the corner of John Anderson and Imperial Heights Drive, both paved county-maintained roads. He has a 2,088 square foot home and an in-ground swimming pool, which were both developed in 1963. At the time of construction, the single-family residence met the 1962 North Peninsula R1A regulations with a front yard on John Anderson of 30 feet and a side street yard minimum on Imperial Heights of 15 feet. The home is a legal, non-conforming structure at this time because it does not meet the current 30-foot setback for R3 on the Imperial Heights side. We are recommending that denial on this. The applicant has failed to meet 4 out of the 5 requirements for the pergola.
Okay. All right, any questions for staff? Hearing Ms. Bush.
If this were attached, would he need a variance?
Yes, he still would not meet that 30-foot
Okay.
front setback. And also, from where he's setting it, he has to set it away from the home a little bit so that he can clear the soffit.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Is the applicant present? Are you the applicant?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
thank you.
Can I get your name and address for the record?
Mark DeNorse, 2689 John Anderson Drive, Orland Beach, Florida, 32176.
Okay, you've heard the staff report here this morning. Anything you would like to add to this?
First of all, I want to thank everyone in this building for walking me through it and spending the time to help me get this far, and you all here present today.
Okay.
What I'm proposing is aesthetically going to look correct because it's going to sit behind the driveway itself. It's going to come off the house and enhance the entryway. The product is pre-made and is a red cedar that's hopefully going to be appealing for everyone. I do have the abutters, 4 of my abutters that sign letters agreeing with it, and once again, I'm lucky to have good neighbors, so that in itself is a nice place to land. You know, with the extra 55 feet from my lot line to the road, I don't feel it's going to be intrusive to anyone going by or future development. Hopefully, they're not going to widen the road that much to come up close, but as far as what I'm asking for, I'm maintaining that land right now happily, and future landscaping, since the last people didn't take care of it, we're going to hopefully make that better, and along with the pergola is part of the whole plan.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Okay. Do we have any public participation forms for this case?
No, sir.
Okay, we're going to close the floor for public participation and have a discussion here and give you a result in a few minutes. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any discussion on this?
I'd be glad to make a motion.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
I'll
I
accept
was just
it.
saying this is another case of the double front yards that people have to deal with, so
Okay.
go ahead, Edith.
I move that we approve case number V-26015, subject to 2 staff recommendations.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor from Ms. Shelley to approve the 2 variances for V26015 with the 2 staff conditions, and a second from Mr. Costa. Any discussion on the motion? Ms. Bush?
Just, I thank you for thanking staff for walking you through this. I know that this process is daunting and it's time consuming. So I know staff does a really great job of walking the applicants through. So thank you for acknowledging their hard work. I do want to acknowledge that what you're doing, adding a pergola to your front door for like shading and beautification, should not necessarily require you to come through this body for what you're trying to do. But we have rules in place that say that. I would, and I've voiced this before, love for our board and for staff to find a way to allow little things like a pergola by your front door to go without having to come before this board. It's excessive. I don't necessarily think it's necessary, and as long as it's meeting the strategic planning goals and the comprehensive planning goals of the county, I don't think that the time that you've invested in this is necessary for what you're doing. So just wanted to make that statement for the record, and thank you for beautifying your property.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, we got a motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Shelley, could I get the next case,
Thank
please?
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Case number V-26-016, a variance to the maximum off-street parking requirements on general commercial B4 zoned property.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. And Ms. Tucker, this one's yours.
Good morning, members. For the record, Kelly Tucker, Planner 1. So today before you, we have a variance request to exceed the 125% maximum allowed parking spaces for a proposed 7,453 square foot retail store for O'Reilly's. The maximum off-street parking currently allows them a maximum of 19 parking spaces, and the applicant is requesting 30. The subject property is located on the northeast corner of US 17 and East David Street. This is the future location for the proposed O'Reilly's and is currently in the application review for a lot combination that will create a unified building site for the proposed development. They are also currently getting ready to undergo an application for conceptual site plan, and the site plan is what has triggered the variance request today for the 30 parking spaces. Section 286.5 requires a minimum of 2 spaces per 1,000 square feet of retail use area, and this means that the project would be required to have a minimum of 15 and then the maximum of 19 with 125%. The applicant stated that out of the 30 spaces, 2 of them will be handicap ADA required, and then 4 spaces will be allocated for service vehicles. So with that math, there's only about 24 parking spaces that would be allotted for customers and for store employees. Staff did conduct some field research that is on page 3 of your staff package. I drove out to 4 other adjacent O'Reillys that are in the area to see how many parking spaces they had, how many service vehicles, and how many handicapped areas. So I do have that information provided for you, as well as the total square footage of these buildings. Two of them are in the city of DeLand. The one that's on East International, they actually had to request a variance to reduce the maximum number of parking spaces. So they reduced it by 8, leaving them a total of 23 parking spaces, and their site plan was approved in 2018. The other O'Reilly's in North DeLand has a total of 35 parking spaces. The city of DeLand stated they did not require a variance, and they did meet the minimum parking standards. That site plan was approved in 2012. We have a previous Napa store that is now an O'Reilly's. It's in DeLand on South Woodland. Based on the square footage of that building, they do meet the maximum at 25 parking spaces. And then there is one, it's a bit of an outlier. I know it's a bit of a distance from DeLeon Springs. It's in New Smyrna Beach. The city of New Smyrna Beach did state that no variances were required for this site. It was approved in 2022, and they had a total of 27 parking spaces. The applicant's justification for the number of parking spaces is supported by a parking study that was submitted with the application and reviewed by the county's Development Engineering Department, who stated no objection to the variance request, stating that they predict that the store will exceed the 75 percentile of success and will, the 85 percentile, which would mean that they could have a weekly possibility of 18 parking spaces needed, and Saturday would be 23. Staff supports the variance as they feel that it has met 3 of the 5 criteria for granting a variance, and there are conditions provided for the PLDRC's consideration. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Tucker. Ms. Bush, you had a question.
I have a lot. I want to start with the variance to section 72-286 in the staff report says that it's based on the zoning district, but it's based on the use, not the zoning district. Correct?
Scott?
Scott.
It is based on the use of the retail sales use.
Okay, so with the staff report, the way that it's written is incorrect then, because it does say that it's based on the zoning district, and that's not accurate.
Well, that use is listed in the zoning, and I apologize for that. It should be specifically to the retail use, and that's where that's to, yes.
That was my first comment. Second, thank you for conducting the field research. I really appreciate that. What I was more interested in is what would the capacity of those existing spaces? When you traveled to do that field research, were they completely full? Were they empty? The applicant is asking for these additional spaces because he says that he needs it because of the busyness of the store. So I appreciate that you went and did and looked at all the other sites that had the parking spaces, but what's the capacity in which those parking spaces are being utilized at any given point to justify this store needing above the 125%?
Yeah, my field research was done on a Wednesday afternoon between the hours of 1 and 4. So with a weekday, the number of spaces taken up would be less than the Saturday like they predicted. There was anywhere between 3 to 7 cars in the parking lot at any given time. I think maybe I spent about 5 or 6 minutes at each location to count the spaces and then go inside and ask how many service vehicles they had at each location.
Awesome. Thank you for that thorough research, and I appreciate you providing that information. Next question. What is the FLU on the property? Is the future land use RLC or is it ULI? Because in the staff report up top, it says that it's ULI, but in your map below, it says that it's RLC.
Correct. That is a typo in the staff report. It is in the DeLeon Springs local plan. So it is RLC.
RLC.
Correct.
And then I will bring this up later, but I did not agree with the staff analysis at all. But I will talk about all those things during discussion. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Craig, you had a question.
How far is it from between the 2 stores on Woodland?
There's only one store on Woodland. There's one on 15A.
Between the existing one and the proposed store, how far is that?
That's a wonderful question. I know it's over 5 miles from the distance of where the 15A location is to the proposed at the corner of 17 and East David Street. It is over 5 miles. I don't have an exact calculation for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions for staff? Ms. Bush.
One more question. Do we have a requirement on the parking analysis? It was done based on the 5th edition, and there's a new edition, so I didn't know if Volusia County required the latest edition to be used in evaluating for parking.
Development engineering didn't signify anything to staff that it was reviewed based on a previous or outdated code.
Because the 6th edition has been significantly updated to add context to consideration, and I'm not sure if the same trip generation analysis would be done based on the 6th edition versus the 5th edition. And I am concerned about that because the 6th edition was updated to deal with the issues of overparking some of these places that we don't need to overpark.
Correct. I can follow up with our development engineering group. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, any other questions for staff? Thank you, Ms. Tucker. Is the applicant, are you the applicant, sir?
Yes, I'm here on behalf of the applicant, yes.
All right, if I could get your name and address for the record?
It's Mike Nykirk at 306 North Market Street, Mount Carmel, Illinois.
Okay. You've heard the staff report and the extensive conversation that went on after the fact. You got anything you would like to say?
The staff report was very thorough, and I appreciate that. I don't know what I could add in reference to the traffic study. That would be a question for our traffic engineer. Unfortunately, I don't know the answer either regarding the addition, but I'm here to answer any questions that I can.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Bush, you had a question?
Yes. Reviewing that traffic, so I work in transportation, so I have a little bit of expertise in that, so I just will put that out there for the record. The parking analysis indicates that you're using the 85th percentile because you think the store is going to overperform, which totally understand. And you're asking from it to go from 19 parking spaces to justify it to go to 30 parking spaces, but you're using an analysis based on store size that is between 5,000 square feet and 14,000 square feet. And your store is only 77,000, 72, 74?
Around 75.
75? Okay, so it's on that smaller side of that square footage. And so you're using the numbers in your analysis to justify a larger demand when I don't think, based on the information you put into that, an ITE analysis doesn't support that.
I apologize. I can't answer that question.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to know what that justification was.
Excuse me.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, we do have a public participation form, and I'll give you an opportunity for rebuttal after the fact if you'd like. And so we'll move right into that if you want to have a seat right there. All right, Ms. Manuzzi. Good morning. Can I get your name and address for the record?
Good morning, Amy Munizzi, De Leon Springs Community Association, De Leon Springs. We are very excited about this business possibly coming into our community. In probably the last 50 years, we've had one new building built. But De Leon Springs is going through a real change right now. We're excited about it. FDOT has come in and four-laned the highway forward north. We have a new roundabout. We have our first ever traffic signal. Beautiful addition to our River to Sea Loop trail. Don't laugh, we're getting there. And so our community is really starting to move forward. I can give a community perspective as to why they need these parking spaces. I think the closest auto parts place is more like 7 to 10 miles away. We found out about this because of some guys that work at the forestry division, and they were very excited because they've got huge trucks and giant vehicles that constantly need parts. And we have Lake Woodruff National Wildlife Refuge, De Leon Springs State Park. They all have large vehicles and large trucks, and they need parts all the time. We also have a lot of lakes and boat ramps, so we have the marine community that lives there and comes through, and they all need parts for their trailers and vehicles. And then we're an ag community, so because of that, you have a lot of people with large trucks, dual axle trucks, big long trailers carrying cattle, horses, hay, and they're not the best at parking. So when you have one of those big trailers with dualies coming in, they could easily take up 2 or 3 parking spots themselves. So we have some variables there that are different for our community than what you would have at a typical auto parts store in DeLand, where you'd have, a few people with cars that might come in. We've got huge vehicles and lots of need for this particular business, this type of business. This will also serve Barberville to the north of us and Pearson to the north of them. Again, agricultural communities with big trucks, big vehicles, lots of land clearing equipment, lots of firefighting equipment. So there's a great need for this. And I could easily see their parking lot being full a lot of times, not just with cars, but with big vehicles, with big trailers. So they take up a lot of space. And that's the reason why we support this variance, and we hope you will too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Menezes. Okay, that is the last public participation form I have. I will say we did get 2 letters, one in support and one in protesting the size. So those will go into the record also. And do we have anyone else that'd like to speak about this case? Do we have any more public?
No, sir.
Okay, would the applicant like to have a rebuttal or just leave it alone? All right, sir. All right, so we're going to close the floor for public participation and open up for commission discussion or even a motion. But I will tell you, I'm very familiar with this area, and there is definitely a need for this business to be located there because it is quite a drive from De Leon to the closest parts store that I know of. And like Ms. Menezes said, there are people there that have trucks and trailers that need to be parked, and you have to have the room to even just get off the road there. And I also know that a lot of times they use these areas for community events in the De Leon Springs area. So I think it'd be a plus for the community, and that's where I'm at on it.
I concur with that, and I'll put forward a motion
All right.
to approve V26-016.
2 staff conditions.
Oh, yeah, and the 2 staff conditions. Sorry about that.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion on the floor from Mr. Urson to approve V26016 with the 2 staff conditions, and a second from Ms. Shelley. Any discussion on the motion? Ms. Bush?
Thank you, Chairman. I do not agree with the staff analysis at all, and I don't think that this necessarily changes how we all feel about the variance, but I just, for the record, want to make sure that my points are put into the record. The special conditions, number 1, the beginning of that section states that no special conditions or circumstances exist. Even the applicant said that in writing that letter, but staff felt that the criteria was met, and I absolutely disagree. If both the applicant and the staff say that there are no special conditions, then why is that criteria met? And so that was a question that I asked staff originally. They got back to us with an amended staff report, but it didn't necessarily address that question. The second special condition does not result in the action of the applicant. I know that the staff report was updated because originally it was in support of that criteria. The number 3, the granting this variance, so number 5, would not be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of this ordinance or the comprehensive plan that is pushing to be less auto-dependent and support smart growth. If we have a maximum parking requirement, it's because we do not want to prioritize parking. So I am a big no on this just because I do not think the ITE model was done correctly. I think that there is a big gap between what they're able to justify based on that analysis and what their request is. I am not against the O'Reillys going into this location. I definitely think that there's a need, but I am absolutely against overparking this business because it just leads to more urban sprawl, and that is not what we're supporting in our comprehensive plan. So I totally disagree with the staff's analysis there. And would hope that you all take that into consideration. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, we're going to go ahead and vote on this variance. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-1. Okay, Ms. Shelley, could I get the next case, please?
Yes, sir. Case number V-26-019, a variance to the minimum yard requirements on planned unit development zoned property.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. And this one is Ms. Ray. Good morning.
Good morning. For the record, Kristen Ray, Planning and Development Services. So the applicants are requesting a variance to reduce the front yard requirement from 25 feet to 15 feet for a 2,000 square foot proposed hangar. The subject property is currently undeveloped and located within the Spruce Creek subdivision of the Spruce Creek Planned Unit Development. The applicant submitted a building permit in November of 2025. And once it was reviewed, it was discovered that the hangar did encroach into the front yard requirement setback along Lindy Loop. The parcel is irregular in shape, with Cross Country Drive to the northwest, Lindy Loop to the southeast, and Taxiway Charlie to the northeast. Due to the shape, Lindy Loop is one of the few joint aircraft and vehicle taxiway streets within the Spruce Creek fly-in development. And due to the shape of the property and the minimum yard requirements, it limits what can be built within that eastern portion of the property. The applicants did submit 13 letters of support that was included in the staff report package, as well as an approved site plan from the Spruce Creek Architectural Review Committee. Staff's recommendation is to approve the variance subject to 2 staff recommended conditions. I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Ray. Any questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present? Are you the applicant? Could I
Yes,
get your
sir.
name and address for the record, sir?
Eric Popper, 3955 Fox Valley Center Drive, apartment 110, Aurora, Illinois.
All right, sir, you've heard the staff report. Anything you would like to add to it?
I don't want to be repetitive, but I do want to thank the staff because this process is new to us, and they've been extremely supportive, communicative, and responsive, and that has made this much less daunting than we thought it was going to be. So thank you. It's a new construction in the fly-in community. We've had a dream to live there for a long time. The house and the hangar are in line with neighborhood standards. We did meet all the neighborhood covenants and the POA setbacks. We had unanimous approval by the Property Owners Association, large support from neighbors, as you can see with the letters of support. We worked very hard with our architect to find a way to use the minimum variance required, and I believe we've done that. With the odd-shaped lot, we did build a 2-story house versus the 1-story house we wanted. That was a compromise we made. But we appreciate your consideration.
All right, sir. Any questions for the applicant? Okay.
I just put my input. That is a hard lot to work with. That's a weird shape on that.
It was actually, the lot had been for sale for a long time, and we bought it and took a chance on it. And I think our architect turned out to be a genius.
I love the design you have for it, so go ahead.
Thank you.
Do we have any public participation forms for this case?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, sir, we're going to close the floor for public participation and give you an answer in a few minutes. Okay. All right, any discussion on this variance here?
I'd be glad to make a motion.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Shelley.
I move that case number V-29-019 be approved as it meets all 5 of the staff criteria.
With the 2 conditions?
Yes, sir.
I got a motion to approve V-26019 with the 2 staff conditions from Ms. Shelley and a second from Mr. Sixma. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, Ms. Shelley, could I get the next case, please?
Yes, sir. Case number V-26-020, 020, excuse me. Variances to the accessory structure requirements on rural agriculture estate RA zoned property.
It's the lights.
It's actually my,
Ms. Tucker, this
my
one's
highlighter.
Good morning. Again, for the record, Kelly Tucker, Planner 1. Before we get into the staff report presentation, I do want to state that the applicant has expressed interest in removing variance 3 from the request. So today I will only be presenting variances 1 and 2. However, if Ms. Olson changes her mind, I will go back and present variance 3. So today we are seeking 2 after-the-fact variances for a proposed 960 square foot detached structure. And I do apologize, it is not proposed. The concrete pad is already existing. They just haven't gone vertical yet. Variance 1 is to reduce the western side yard from 25 feet to 11 feet for the existing detached garage. And variance 2 is to reduce the western side yard from 25 feet to 13 feet for the existing accessory structure. The applicants purchased the property in February of '24, and according to aerial photos, the site was already developed with an existing 609 square foot accessory structure in the west side yard setback and a large concrete slab. The 1,568 square foot single family residence was constructed in 2025 and is located approximately 636 feet from the front property line. Nope, we're not talking about that one, sorry. The property is zoned rural agricultural estate RA, and it does meet the minimum lot area as it is 25 acres and has a lot width of 165 feet. According to the applicant's written petition, if the detached garage were to be moved to meet the 25-foot yard setback, the applicant would not have enough space between the pond and the building to drive a vehicle or tractor. A site visit was conducted on December 11th of 2025, where the applicant also stated concern for their horses' safety if the building were to be placed closer to the pond. Staff did look to see what the distance between the building and the pond would be. Currently, as it stands, there's about 34 feet from the water's edge to the building pad as it is. If it were to be moved, there would still be at least 10 feet of clearance between the building and the water's edge. And according to building elevations for the building permit 2025-05-16018, the access point for the garage will be on the southern side with a single overhead door, and there won't be any entrances to the east. There's too many papers, I apologize. After reviewing the analysis, staff did find that they recommend denial for variances 1 and 2, as they failed to meet criteria 1, 2, 3, and 4 for granting a variance. There are conditions available if the PLDRC finds approval. I'm available for any questions.
Ms. Tucker, these are the conditions that we have. You withdrawing variance 3, is that correct?
Correct. So we would be withdrawing condition 2 as well.
That's my question there. Okay. And so that would leave 2 conditions, 1
Correct.
and 3,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Bush, you had a question?
Yes. And I have now lost it. I apologize. I think it was more on the horse barn, but if we're not to discuss that, then I concede my time. Thank you. Sorry.
It's okay. Any questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present? You're the applicant?
Sir,
Can I
morning.
get your name and address for the record, please?
Brittany Olson, 4055 Swamp Deer Road, New Smyrna Beach, 32168.
Okay. You've heard the staff report. Anything you'd like to add to that?
No, sir. Other than where the building sits now, the runoff goes into the retention pond, so there's no flooding issues. Also, if we were to have to move it, trees would have to go down, and there are tortoise burrows on site, so that would take into play too. There's no other places with the wetland buffer that building and its size, getting trailers in and out would actually fit without tree removal or tortoise burrows or flooding in the front yard.
Okay. One of the things, you're withdrawing variance 3. Are you going to remove that structure? Is that what the...
No, sir. I'm in the process of getting my property ag exempted.
Okay. So can she come back for that variance if she doesn't get the ag exemption?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure of that, because otherwise you'd have to wait 2 years.
No. It would only be for the same structure, for the same type of thing.
Got
So
it.
you're
Okay. All right. Okay, Ms. Bush, you had a question for the applicant?
Would the garage not count if they're ag exempt?
The garage counts as part of their residential structure, so the
Okay.
exemption counts for non-residential farm buildings on a farm.
Farm buildings on a farm.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, you kind of argue that the garage is for parking tractors, but
Well,
I think they're storing.
We could, yeah. My husband has an inherited 69 Camaro, and that's what the building's for. It's been out in the elements for about a year now, so
If it
we
was
just
for-
want the structure just to preserve his antique vehicle.
So we definitely looked at this. If it was for farm activities, yes, definitely qualifies, but this is for the antique car.
Understood. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for the applicant? Okay, do we have any public participation forms for this case?
No, sir.
Sir, real quick, I'm so sorry. I also
Go
have
ahead.
photos of how much space is in between where the proposed building is and the pond.
Okay, if you want to, you can give those to Ms. Grennan.
Okay.
They will
It's
go
not
in-
that much space.
They will go into the record, and you will not get them back. Okay. Grinning, can you put those up on the visual real quick?
This is going to show where my truck and trailer is parked in between where the building would be and the pond would be. And like I said, if there's a horse that goes down and we have to move it closer to the pond, I won't be able to get a vehicle back there to do anything. They're just there.
Okay. Okay. If you'll just pass them down the dais here, we'll take a quick look at them and then move on.
Our horses also free roam our property, so if the building gets closer and they fall into the pond, that could be a potential hazard as well, which is one of my main concerns.
So before these photos reach me, could you explain what I'm going to see?
Yes, sir. Where we're trying to put the proposed garage, we also have a retention pond right there. You're seeing my truck and trailer parked and how much space is left in between to get any vehicles out. And this would be where the actual variance would come into play. This is where we want it. But if we have to move it closer to the pond, it's just minimizing space. We won't be able to get any vehicles, any tractors, anything to the back part of our property.
The photos to show that. Mr. Costa, you had a question?
Yeah, I ended up looking at the picture. So this form boards, variance 1 and 2 is for that. It's not poured yet. It's formed up?
Correct.
That's
Yes,
what it's
sir.
for?
We end up
Okay.
getting the permit, and then we hired a company to do the concrete and didn't realize that we were within the setback. So the permit got rescinded, and that's how we're here today.
Okay. And one more time, what is the purpose of that building?
To store my husband's 69
The
Camaro.
car. Okay.
Yeah, inherited vehicle.
And then the other building that you withdrew the variance on is for the horses,
Yes, sir.
the
That's a
stables?
horse barn.
All right. My only comment is, why would you withdraw the third variance request? But
Just because I'm in the process of getting
I would leave
exempted.
that. Personally, I would leave it in the package.
Okay. This is my first time here. I don't
yeah.
know. This has been an ongoing year-long thing.
Well, I'm saying regardless. So let's say you don't get the ag exemption for whatever reason.
Yes, sir.
Now you're in violation, as opposed to at least take your shot with the board. You've already gone through. You've done all the heavy lifting. All is finished.
Okay.
So let us decide.
This has
for
been
you.
going on back and forth with code enforcement. There was an open complaint about my barn that was closed. They said it's fine. Then I started the ag exempt, so I don't know what I'm doing.
So you've been dealing with this for what, 3 to 4 months, maybe longer?
Like a year and
okay.
a couple months.
Ms. Bush,
a year
you
and
had
4 months.
question?
It was just to second what Mr. Costa said. You've already advertised for it. You've already done all the effort for it. You might as well just include variance 3 because, God forbid anything were to happen on the ag exemption.
Yeah,
I
you won't
looked
have to
into
come
ag
back.
exemption. I have horses, and it wasn't doable for me because there are lots of requirements for that
Right.
from a business perspective.
Right.
And it's personal, right? So I never went the ag exemption route and just permitted all my structures. So you're here now, but that's up to you.
I would like to point out that one of the staff recommended conditions was that the applicant apply for after-the-fact permits for the unpermitted structures within 90 days of the variance.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to add or not withdraw the variance number 3, the commission might want to modify that condition.
Well, and that's the problem too, because like I said, we've been going back and forth with code enforcement. The barn, the violation was closed. We were good to go. I got recommended to add it to here because I'm here anyway. But the problem with the reverse engineering is I've already gotten a quote and it's $2,000 to get a reverse engineering plan on a barn already. So we're pretty deep into it with how much money we've come out of pocket just to get the garage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I wasn't even considering the barn, because the barn was a past problem that had been closed. So I was just recommended to put it on here because, what could happen. But then if I need the reverse engineering or another permit, you're looking at another $2,500.
That's assuming that you don't get the ag exemption.
That is assuming.
So,
yeah.
I would. We're not closed yet, are we?
No, we're not closed. No, we're not closed.
What I would suggest, and this is just a suggestion, it's only my suggestion, is that you leave variance 3 on there, and potentially this panel up here, this board may decide that, and rather than give you 90 days for approval, is to double that, give you 180 days, which is more than sufficient time to get your ag exemption, and then you can decide whether or not you need to go to the next step, which is what you're speaking of. That gives you almost 6 months. to get that taken care of?
Mr.
Ag
Chair,
exemption shouldn't take that long.
we would probably recommend if you're going in that route to give a significantly longer time because I think the ag provisions start the first of the year. So the ag classification doesn't go into effect until January or in February.
Understood, but she could still be approved prior to it taking full effect for an ag exemption.
Because the complaint was already closed and code enforcement didn't find that building in violation and it was just added just for craps and gigs, what if I just take it off and then even if I don't get ag exempted, if the complaint's still closed, does it reopen again?
You'd still be in non-compliance.
Yep.
Someone else could complain and you'd have another code violation.
With a complaint?
Yes.
I'm just going to take it off.
Okay.
I'm going to
Okay.
risk the complaint, just take it off of the variance request.
All right.
And then work on the ag exemption if I
You
need to
get the-
revisit this.
Let me just go in line with Mr. Costa said. If you get the variance, doesn't necessarily mean you have to pull the permit. You've got that much time to do so. If you don't get your ag exemption, then you could at that time apply for the permit. Okay?
Yes, sir, I understand that, but again, with the reverse engineering cost and then pulling the permit cost of another $300.
But just because you have to have a variance does not mean that you have to apply for the permit, especially if you get the ag exemption. Otherwise, you're going to be in violation and have to go through code enforcement again. You'll be going through this whole thing again.
If I get another complaint.
Or if you don't get the ag exemption, really. You're gonna-
Okay.
In addition, if you were to ever modify your property at any point in time and need building permits, they would flag that this is non-conforming and make you include this in this process.
Trying to help you out
Okay.
here,
Yeah,
you know,
it's-
because
My brain is mush every time I come into this building.
let me put it this way. If we approve this variance, that doesn't mean you do have to get it if you don't get your ag exemption. You have to do the permitting to be in compliance. If you want to not get it and not be in compliance, the variance will go away if you don't get it within that certain period of time. So that variance will go away. I mean, when I say go away, it means that you'll be in non-compliance again. Okay, do you understand where I'm going with this?
Yes, sir, I do. Okay.
So what they're trying to tell you is to go ahead and apply for this. It will not harm you in any way, and it doesn't force you into getting the permit.
Okay.
Unless you don't
understood.
get the ag exemption, and if you don't get if you don't get the permit, you're non-conforming on that one. Okay.
With an additional complaint, though, because code enforcement was already closed.
Well, it doesn't.
Or if you were to do any type of improvement on your property and they flag that it's not a permitted structure.
Okay.
I would request that maybe we table this until the end of the agenda if you want to have the opportunity to talk to your husband and talk to staff and then maybe come back to us and decide whether or not you want to continue for the removal of variance 3. I would be willing to adjust the agenda and give you that time today.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to talk to staff about it and see what you want to do, then you can do so, or we can remove it, whatever you want to do here.
Do you want to just keep it on? Okay, we'll just keep it on. We'll just keep it on.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Okay. Do we have any, Ms. Tucker?
So because we're adding variance 3 back into the record, I do have to present staff's findings on the building.
Go ahead.
So for variance 3, it is to reduce the eastern side yard setback from 25 feet to 13 feet for an existing accessory structure, stable structure. The 857 square foot non-conforming stable building was built on top of the existing concrete pad that was previously a basketball court. It was built in 2025 without permits. Staff did find this building in our initial review of the variance. The original request came in for the garage building on the western side yard. I did recommend to Ms. Olson that she add it to the variance request. That way it would solidify the existing location of the building. If it were ever to be demolished or need to be rebuilt, she could rebuild it in its current existing footprint. The recommendation is still the same as the variances 1 and 2 for denial, but we do have condition 2, and staff is open to any modifications from this board. I'm available for any more questions.
And
Thank you,
staff
Ms.
recommends the 90-day change to 1 year.
To 1 year?
Yes.
I like that.
Thank you.
Okay. And while we're, just to touch on something, Mr. Soria, on the legal side, that we haven't said something that would not be correct to the applicant as far as going ahead and applying for it, and being that if they don't get the
Yes,
ag exemption.
So right now, we were presuming that there's no ag classification on this property, so every single structure on there needs a permit. Once that ag classification comes in, those structures that are non-residential farm buildings on a farm no longer need a permit. Like even if we granted the variance, basically the state statute says, ignore the county codes, ignore getting a building permit, proceed as if it was a agricultural barn. So, you know, this commission is basically granting, you know, a year after getting this variance to come in and apply for a permit for that barn in the event that you do not get the ag classification. If you do get the ag classification, you do not need the building permit anymore.
I just wanted to get it from legal side that we weren't misleading you and you come back with, they said.
Planning for dummies.
Okay.
You guys
All right. Do we have any public participation forms for this case?
No, sir.
Okay, we're going to close the floor and we're going to give you an answer, okay? Okay.
I'm prepared.
Go ahead, Mr. Costa.
I'm prepared to make a motion, case V-26-020, the motion to approve variances 1, 2, and 3 with 3 staff recommended conditions and changing the timeline from 90 days to 365 days of approval after the variances.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion on the floor to approve V26020, variances 1, 2, and 3, with the 3 staff conditions, with making it 365 days instead of 90 days to get the permits required. From Mr. Costa and a second from Ms. Shelley. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. You got your 3 variants.
There you go. Congratulations.
Good luck, guys.
You won't regret doing that.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Shelley, can I get the next case, please?
Yes, sir. Case number V-26-021, a variance to the accessory dwelling unit ADU requirements on urban single-family residential R4 zoned property.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Shelley. And this one is yours, Ms. Tucker.
Good morning again for the record. Kelly Tucker, Planner 1. I just enjoy talking to you guys so much. So today before you, we have an application to increase the proposed size of an accessory dwelling unit. Current standards allow it to be 50% of the principal structure. And today we are asking to increase that. The owners purchased the property in January 2019. The property was developed with a 2,094 square foot single family residence that was constructed in 23. This is a vested lot and eligible for building permits. The property owner stated that they're building the ADU to have an elderly family member. Sorry. To have an elderly family member move into the property to be closer, and then they'll also have another family member that'll be their caretaker. They're currently proposing a 2-bed, 2-bath ADU that would meet ADA standards. The subject parcel does meet the R4 zoning requirements, as it is 1 acre in size and has a lot width of approximately 145 feet. Staff does recommend denial for the variance as it fails to meet. These microphones are very close together. Give myself a little more room, sorry. Deny the variance request as it fails to meet 4 out of the 5 criteria for granting a variance. Staff does recommend 2 conditions that are on page 5 of your staff report. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Tucker. Any questions for staff? Hearing none, is the applicant present? Would you like to come forward, sir? You've heard the staff report. Anything you'd like to add to the staff report?
Yes, sir. My name is Wayne Scantling, and I was engaged by the owner and the owner's mother to look at this. Certainly the goal, as Ms. Tucker said, and I'd like to thank Ms. Tucker and Ms. Grimmage for the work that they've done to address some of the concerns, and I've gotten some information out of it that's very beneficial for what we're trying to do. But certainly the goal is to make this not an accessory dwelling unit, but an accessible accessory dwelling unit. And as such, as Ms. Tucker said, what we would have to do is try to follow some of the guidelines associated with the Americans with Disabilities Act, certainly the Florida Building Code, the International Building Code. I could not find anything that specifically related to accessory dwelling units and accessibility requirements for that in the code, but the requirements that are used mostly for commercial buildings apply to across the board for anyone who is confined to a wheelchair or to a walker or whatever. Much like the parking lots, you see the spaces that are larger than regular spaces for cars, no matter whether it's a private or commercial. So from that standpoint, I think the statement about the fact, I think it was number 1 on the criteria that talked about special conditions. The special condition is this needs to be accessible. The person who is slated to utilize this structure is mobility challenged, and it is, even though it's not actually stated medically, there have been noticed some mental challenges also, and that can become a problem, certainly from the standpoint of pots that are put on stoves and the stoves aren't turned off. I know for a fact that there was an occasion where the individual fell down and actually broke the glass in the stove and had to call 911. If no one was there to call 911, she would have been in a dire situation, because it was not just I've fallen and I can't get up. It's I've fallen and I'm injured and I can't get up. So the other thing was it asked us, are we the ones, or am I the one who is causing this? And I think the response on the staff report said that I was the one who chose all the dimensions. No, those dimensions that are chosen are based on what the accessibility code says. If we wanted to look at it, and we're able to put that page as page 9 of the staff report and page 10, where I actually did a study that incorporated the code into a pathway that would be allowed inside of this unit, and also the 60-inch diameter turnaround that's necessary for wheelchairs to be able to maneuver inside bathrooms, and also the pathways, like I said, to get around furniture. And it was determined that the necessary square foot for that and the housing of the caregiver was 1,500 square feet. Now, there was a little bit of confusion on my part, because the definition given in the staff report for the living area and the area under air as the living area. But when this report was done and the numbers that came from it, it actually took into account the outside perimeter of the building, which from a design professional standpoint, we call that the footprint. And so that made the square footage a little bit larger than what we were actually intending. But certainly we can shorten that design to be actually 1,500 square foot of the outside perimeter area, as opposed to the actual living area, which would be smaller. Also, we were accepted on criteria number 2, which I thank the staff members for doing that. Criteria number 3 had to do with minimum size. Certainly, like I said, we can make this into the minimum size, but the size is determined by the special requirements for accessibility and mobility with a wheelchair, getting around furniture, the size of the bed, the size of the bathroom, and all those things associated with it. Number 4 was talking about in harmony with the rest of the area. Mr. Solomon's residence is, as was stated, on a 1-acre lot. It has I think a 6 or 8 foot fence all the way around it. It cannot be seen from the street. Certainly the neighbors could possibly see it through the trees. They could see the roof of it, but I don't know if it'll be something that will be seen and will make the area look degraded. I did a drawing, kind of a rendering of what it would look like, and it's on page 10 of the page 7 of the report. I'm sorry. And we'll try to make it look as much like the house as we can so that it will not cause any type of conflict of the way things look. In addition to that, we certainly are making sure that those things that could cause problems with the area are taken care of. Wildlife, there is no wildlife protection necessary. There is no wetlands area that needs to be protected. We tried to minimize the number of trees that were being taken down. I think we're taking down 1 or 2. And aside from that, there's nothing else injurious that we can think of other than, well, I can't think of anything right now, actually. But the appearance of it is going to be very nice. And also, my understanding is that Governor DeSantis is actually trying to put forth legislation or have legislation put forth that will allow and kind of reduce some of the requirements on ADUs because of the cost of housing and the need for individuals to be housed. When we look at the moral nature of what we're talking about, certainly I think it's very moral for a child and a grandchild to want to take care of their aging and ailment mother or grandmother. And so from that standpoint, we're requesting we can make the ADU smaller, the accessible ADU smaller. We don't think we have an appearance issue from the way it's going to look. We don't think it's injuring any wetlands or anything like that. And the size of it is because of the fact that it is accessible. And that's the reason why we're doing it.
All right, sir. Any questions for the applicant? Okay, we do. Is Mr. Solomon, Stephen Solomon?
He's here.
Would you like to come forward and speak?
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
I'm Stephen Solomon, 1285 Caldwell Avenue, Orange City. So this ADU, the purpose of it, like was said, is for my mother, who's 66, and my grandmother, who's 91. My mother is the full-time caregiver for my grandmother. My grandma is still mentally there, but is getting worse, and a wheelchair is certainly necessary for an ADU, especially going forward, because anyone that has seen family members age, you know that they don't get better, they just get worse over time. And so I wanted to address some of the criteria that was on the report. So the first one was the special conditions criteria, and as was mentioned before, the special condition is the usage for this ADU. It's not used like a normal ADU because this condition for this one is that it be wheelchair accessible. And because of that, it requires a lot more space. The turnaround, the hallway size, the accessibility of the bathroom, all these things require more space than a normal condition ADU would require. And while a floor plan can be reduced on paper, you know, to address the criteria for the minimum necessary, you can always reduce something, but you can only reduce it so much and be able to meet the conditions for wheelchair usage. And so that's how we came up with the number that we came up with. The fifth criteria, harmony with the area. The ADU won't even be visible from the street. It's set as far back on the property as it can go. It'll be like it doesn't even exist to anybody that's driving by. And so the purpose of the ADU is to care for my aging family. Everyone knows that nursing homes are expensive. And this is a multi-generational living arrangement that I'm trying to set up at my home. And with that being said, I hope you approve my variance request. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to close the floor for public participation and open up for commission discussion or a motion. I will make a comment that this property size, even though it's R4, is 1 acre. And I kind of, depending upon the size of your house, is the size of your ADU, which I've never agreed with. So that's my comment on it. I'm in favor of it. Any other comments?
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I move that we approve case
Microphone.
V26.
Microphone.
Sorry. I move that we approve V26-021. Are there any conditions? With
Yes.
the two conditions.
I'll second.
Okay, where did that second come from, Mr. Urson? Okay.
And for discussion purposes, I would just like to add, I live in a multi-generational home, so I totally understand. I have a 94-year-old grandfather, and my parents are in their 60s. I have an autistic adult brother, so I totally understand and really feel, and I've made this comment before, that we really need to be friendly to accessory dwelling units for those purposes. We are going to be seeing more people aging in place, and they need to, and we need to allow that. So I am in support of what the legislature is trying to do in order to make that easier across the board for everyone. I have some other things to say about that, but I just am very supportive of this, and I think that we need to make it easier as people continue to age and we have more aging population to age in place. So
I concur.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve variance V26-021 with the two conditions from staff, from Ms. Bush, and a second from Mr. Urson. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, Ms. Shelley, could I get the next case, please?
Yes, sir. Case number V-26-024, variances to the minimum yard and accessory structure requirements on transitional agriculture A3 zoned property.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Shelley. Ms. Costa, this is you.
Good morning again. Staff is requesting a variant, or our customers requesting a variance to a reduction in the east waterfront yard for a rock revetment, similar to a seawall.
We're 22.
You're 20. They called 24.
22. It is 22.
You got 22 up there, I'm sorry. You called for 24, so.
No seawall needed.
No, sorry. This is actually a application for a variance to the minimum accessory structure requirements on a rural residential property.
Okay.
Fine. Okay, so we are requesting a variance to, three variances. Variance 1 is to allow an accessory structure in the front yard. Request 2 is to reduce the east front yard from 40 feet to 10 feet for a proposed 2,400 square foot metal garage. This is a corner lot again.
Can you get closer to your mic? Thank you.
Is that better?
Yep.
And variance 3 is to reduce the west side yard from 15 feet to 10 feet for the same proposed metal garage. The site is zoned rural residential. Subject parcel meets the dimensional requirements of at least 1 acre. It is a corner lot, which must meet 40-foot front yard setbacks. The parcel was vested in 2000 by the previous owner. It is part of the Butler Chain of Lakes subdivision. This proposed garage is going to be taking the place of an unpermitted pole barn that was placed by the previous owner. This case went to DRC because the property lays within the Enterprise Community Overlay Zone. And they requested waivers to section 72-1305 2B and C for accessory structures. They did receive approval from DRC for the height of the building exceeds the height of the home, the mean roof height. It will not exceed at the peak. Also, it is placed in Enterprise Overlay Zone, requires the garage be placed behind the front of the home. With having 2 front yards, this makes it difficult for the owner, and they approved that as well. Staff recommends approval for the 2,400 square foot garage as it meets for variances 1, 2, and 3, as it meets 3 out of the 5 criteria for granting said variances. Also, the property is oddly shaped, and this would be the only place that he could place the structure. It's almost an hourglass shape, so he's placing it as close to the home as he can without interfering with he also has wetlands on the property at the south end, and it's in the flood zone. So he's avoiding the flood zone, utilizing a portion of the property that is already cleared, and we would like to recommend approval. Are there any questions I can answer?
Ms. Bush, you had a question?
Yes, and our attorney's gone. It's mainly for him. I'm curious that DRC is able to approve essentially what I think are size and dimension criteria, which is something that should come in before this board. So how was the DRC able to approve that waiver request without it coming to PLDRC?
Sure. So that's basically the code. The code grants specifically to the DRC because it's treating it more like an architectural provisions in this specific overlay.
Okay.
So that's why it's a design and aesthetic feature for location of the garage and the height of the structure for compliance. That's why the code specifically says that the DRC has that variance and waiver authority rather than the PLDRC, which is the normal one. So that's kind of like those strange one-offs.
Okay, right. Understood. I've known that that's happened before, but again, once the DRC approves it, it still goes to a governing body to make that decision because it is a size and dimension criteria. So if that's the way it's written, that's fine. That's just that's nuanced and not necessarily what I think would be the proper order of things, because essentially DRC gave them approval and now they're asking for us to give approval for something they've already received approval for. So it's just the timing and what comes first. And like I said, how was DRC able to do a waiver to size and dimension criteria? I understand if you're putting it on the architecture side of things, but it's still a height and it's still size and dimension.
Ms. Bush, if I could just clarify that, Scott Ashley, zoning enforcement official, it's not so much a dimensional requirement that they're waiving, it's the placement. Because the applicant normally would still have to meet setback requirements. It's that accessory structure cannot be in front of the primary structure. It should meet the setback still, but it's a location where it needs to be back behind, not in front of the primary. So that's what they're reviewing for the criteria of the overlay standard, is allowing the structure, one, to be in front or beside the main structure, but it should be still compliant with setbacks. In this scenario, based on the configuration and shape of the parcel, he can't do both, meet setbacks and be located in behind the home, if you will. He needed both. One was for the code provision for location, in a sense, for the architectural visual, and then the second one, which is before you, is the actual dimensional standard.
And I'm not arguing that. It's the size of the structure. It's the height. That's the size and dimension, right?
Well, the
So
height
that's, again,
issue
where I just
comes back where the structure cannot exceed the primary home. There is a height standard in the code, but there's also that secondary with the overlay that for the accessory structure is intended to match the mass and height and scale of the principal structure. In this scenario, it's apparently not. So that's why there may be another variance for the height issue based on that standard.
Okay, but they're not requesting the height variance.
Right,
here.
but I'm just pointing, you won by the height, but they still have a height standard for accessory structures. But if that exceeds what the height of the present home is, that's tied into the overlay standards, which the DRC would then review and approve.
Yeah, totally get that. Just from a professional standpoint, I've never had those two things combined from an architectural review board.
Well, we have that provision for Enterprise and Osteen.
I know it was an Osteen. I wasn't aware it was an Enterprise, so thank you.
Okay, any other questions for staff? All right, the applicant, are you the applicant, sir?
I am the applicant.
Could I get your name and address for the record?
Nicholas McAlpin, 2623 Carolyn Street.
Okay, you've heard the staff report. Anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I would like to echo some of the sentiment earlier. The staff has been great walking us through. They're reasonable, they're logical, which I cannot say is the case for other counties or other entities. So I would just like to appreciate them for what they have done for me. The reason for building the structure, as our family has grown, as our hobbies have grown through the years, we also need a larger storage structure. We're planning this for current and future needs, and we don't want to leave Volusia County. We love where we live. Another nuance to this, when I engaged a family acquaintance in early 2025 to build the structure, I went ahead and I purchased it and I got everything going. And when I questioned him about permitting, he told me that I did not need a permit. I'm a licensed general contractor, and I said, well, that doesn't sound right. That can't be the case. The more I worked with him, the less confidence I had with him. I then said, well, I'll just do this myself, and here we are. So some of the issues with the size of the building, I could have reduced the size. However, I have already purchased and received the building due to that situation.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Okay. All right, sir, do we have any public participation forms?
No, sir.
All right, we're going to close the floor and give you an answer in a few moments.
Thank you.
All right, any discussion or a motion? Either one, guys. Let's get it done. Ms. Bush.
Make a motion, case V-26-022, that we approve variances 1, 2, and 3 with staff recommended conditions, 2 of them.
2 conditions.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Bush, you had a comment?
Yeah, again, just one of those things where I don't agree with staff analysis. I totally understand where you're coming from, so I'm still supportive of the variance, but I do not necessarily should have passed the criteria. The special conditions, I agree with variance 1 that the special condition exists within the layout of the property, but I do not agree with the reductions in the setbacks meeting that special condition. The building could be smaller. I understand. This is before hearing all this, right? The building could be smaller, and therefore variance 2 and 3 would not be needed. Therefore, I do not feel like variance 2 and 3 meet that criteria. Special conditions as a result of the applicant. Again, I agree with staff on criteria 1 for variance, criteria for variance 1 on that, but it's not for 2 and 3 due to the size of the structure. The existing barn unpermitted is half the size of what is being proposed. So therefore, those circumstances are the result of the applicant's desires. So I do not feel those conditions are met. And the literal interpretation would deprive the rights, yes to variance 1, no to 2 and 3. Again, the applicant can make it smaller and meet those provisions of the ordinance. So I just want to correct and make sure that staff is really doing that analysis and not necessarily doing it in favor of the project. I've seen some of that in some of the staff reports that were written this go around, and so I'm making those comments because I do not feel that that's accurate. I do agree, though, that this variance was worthy, and I will be voting in favor of it.
Okay. Any other comments? We do have a motion on the floor. We've got a motion for, I may have already stated this, for you.
I made the motion.
Yeah, Mr. Costa made a motion to approve V-26-022 with variances 1, 2, and 3 with the 2 conditions, and a second from Ms. Shelley. Any more discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Shelley, could I get the next case, please?
Yes, sir. Case number V-26-024, variances to the minimum yard and accessory structure requirements on transitional agriculture A3 zoned property.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. Ms. Costa, this is yours.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Staff, our customer is requesting variances to the minimum waterfront yard standards for an existing home and pool under construction. Coquina rock revetment is required to prevent shoreline erosion and to resolve an environmental permitting code violation. When the applicants applied for the home, this is a new home and an in-ground swimming pool. When they applied for this permit, they were meeting the waterfront yard setback requirements. However, let me go back for a second here. We're requesting to reduce the waterfront yard setbacks from 40 feet to 22 feet for the single-family residence, and the east waterfront yard from 40 feet to 9 feet for the partially constructed in-ground pool. It is not completed as of yet. This is a 3-zone property. It is a vested lot. What had happened was during construction, the wetlands became damaged. Mike, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. During the construction of the home and the pool, the wetlands did become damaged, and then Hurricane Milton in 2024 eroded and destabilized the wetlands further and washed out the shoreline. So they are needing the rock revetment to restore the shoreline. They're going to go back in once they receive the variance. Environmental permitting has been working very closely with us to approve this so that they can restore the wetlands as well once they can put in the revetment. There are other revetments in the area as well on the neighboring properties on either side. So this would continue the look and not change the feel of the neighborhood. Are there any questions I can answer for you?
Yes, Ms. Bush, you had a question.
Yes, thank you. Did the property receive a prior variance to build within the wetland buffer? Because there were two different site plans. One showed that most of that part of that back end of that structure was all within that buffer.
A wetland buffer does not require a variance. It is with a wetland alteration permit that's approved by environmental permitting. So you can mitigate for any type of impact as staff reviews for the environmental permitting staff if you have any impact to your wetland buffer. So it's just a permitting thing. It doesn't go through this board.
Okay. I swore that we've reviewed cases where, okay, I could be wrong. I guess I am. That's all the questions that I have at this time.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Hearing none, is the applicant, you're the applicant?
One of them, yes.
All right. If you'd like to state your name and address for the record?
Jason Hebert, 2229 Old Dixie Highway.
Okay, you've heard the staff report. Anything you'd like to add to it?
No, just again, I want to reiterate what we've heard all today is they were wonderful helping us step us through this process, which we don't do ever. So very helpful, and thank you all.
Professional, friendly.
Okay. If you'd like to speak, would you like to speak?
So I'm Ramona Hebert, same address, 2229 Old Dixie Highway, but I just want to say professional, friendly, very educational. We have learned so much in building this 4-generation home. Like I am telling you, without you guys, it would have been impossible. So thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Okay. All right. Ms. Bush, you had a question for the applicant.
Yes, I'm curious. What were the wetland impacts that the contractor made?
You want to?
So with us building this home, we went ahead and hired our builder, Olson Custom Homes. He went and applied for all the contracts and we submitted everything. We got approval. We actually did not know there was wetland buffer area. In hindsight, we should have known, but that's hindsight. And so with this here, it was at a time of growing pains with the county and with our builder. It was like the perfect storm. Builder got cancer, he gave it to the he gave it to the superintendent. There was somebody who came out and actually went ahead and looked at it from environmental and from the county and said, no wetland, no tortoise. We actually built, then we started working with Julie and she said, there's wetland buffer. And so with that there, at that point, the house portion had already been approved without environmental looking at it. And so you can pay up to 50% into wetland buffer. I had called in and spoke with somebody and said, hey, there's these pepper trees, can I get rid of them? They said yes. Didn't know it was wetland area, didn't know. And I thought, well, okay, we could just pull them out. And so there were mistakes on our part, on everybody's part. So as far as this here, are we learning, are we making it right? Yes. That part there, the pool and the part that you see in the wetland area, that was all approved in the initial build permit. So this part here, what we're asking for is to do a coquina revetment, a wave breaker to protect everything that we're going to restore.
Okay. And just for the record, I just want to say that your letter was very well written. I had a lot of questions when reading the staff report, and a lot of those questions were answered because of how well written your letter was. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Do we have any public participation forms for this case?
No, sir.
Okay, we're going to close the floor for public participation, open for commission discussion, get you an answer. All right. Discussion or a motion? Let's go.
I'll be glad to make a motion
Go ahead, Ms. Shelley.
that we approve case number V-26-024, subject to two staff recommended conditions.
I'll second that.
Okay, I've got a motion on the floor for Ms. Shelley to approve V-26-024, variances 1 and 2 with the 2 staff conditions, and a second for Mr. Urson. Any discussion on the motion? Ms. Bush?
Thank you, Chairman. Again, I really felt like this did not meet the sniff test of the variance. There's some direct language that I'd like to quote from the staff report. It says, for criteria 1, therefore these variances, I'm sorry, this is not criteria 1, this is just in general. Therefore, these variances are necessary as a direct result of the protective revetment. And I disagree. The variances are necessary because the applicant, the contractor, and the conditions that happened destroyed the wetlands or impacted the wetlands, which violated the building permits and the other things that it might not have violated building permits, but it violated their wetland permit and requires correction. So no way does that meet any of the special criteria, special conditions criteria. I'd like to know where in the code does it state literal application of the zoning ordinance would require the applicants to restore wetland impacts without utilizing coquina rock. Is that somewhere? Because it was listed in the staff report that that they weren't able to do this without the rock, and that it's the literal interpretation of the zoning code that wouldn't allow them to do it. And I'm not sure why.
So the utilization of the revetment is where the waterfront yard is measured from. So if they were to restore the property and then the mean high water is further out, then that is where the measurement would be from for their waterfront yard. So if the waterfront yard is further into the water, then that's where it would be if there was not a revetment. Now, if there's a revetment, that's where you're going to be measuring your waterfront yard from.
But is the revetment required in the code for what the implications for what they're dealing with?
No, she's saying literal interpretation because if they wouldn't have the revetment, then they wouldn't need a variance because the waterfront yard is further out. That's what she's meaning by what she wrote in the report.
Right. So where in the code does it say that the revetment becomes the waterfront yard?
And which portion, Scott?
Section 72-294. That deals with waterfront yards. And also another factor is this property is in the natural resource management area, so that prevents or prohibits the use of armoring of the shoreline. As an alternative to that is a vertical, so the alternative has been with the living shoreline, which would include a revetment and plantings in front of that as an alternative in the Norma area.
Okay.
So they can't do a traditional vertical seawall.
So what was that section of the code that you rattled off?
72-294 is the waterfront yard standard.
72-294?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And that specifies where the yard is because of the waterfront and how you apply the setback, especially if there is a seawall or revetment.
Okay. And then I disagree that such variances will be injurious to the area involved. The whole reason that the variance is needed is because there were damage done to the wetlands by the applicant. So granting this variance would, I don't think, be inharmonious with the surrounding areas because of the wetland destruction. I'm just curious how many other homes have this that has been implemented to prevent erosion on this stretch of land. And I apologize, I should have asked this earlier.
The two neighboring properties, the ones to either side and an additional one, all have rock revetments.
Okay, thank you.
You can see that from the aerials in the report.
Okay, Ms.
Those are all my
Craig.
comments, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Craig, you had a question or a comment?
Yeah, it's more of a comment than anything else. This happens to be a hot button issue for me with the waterfront modifications basically being made. I feel like the regulations are there for a reason, and it's unfortunate that this was a natural occurrence that caused this problem. But I really think we need to be very careful about these kinds of variances. That's just basically a comment.
Okay, and would anyone else like to comment? Okay, we do have a motion on the floor, so we're going to go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 5-2 with Ms. Bush and Ms. Craig in dissent. Okay, Ms. Shelley, can I get the next case, please?
Yes, sir. Case number Z-25-010, rezoning a portion of property zone transitional agriculture A3s to the neighborhood commercial B2 zoning classification.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. Ms. Ray, this one's yours.
Good morning. For the record, Kristen Ray, Planning and Development Services. So this is a unique rezoning request. I'm just going to start off by saying that. I'll also go through a little bit of history of the parcel as well. So the applicant is requesting to rezone a portion of the 3.09 acre parcel that is currently split zoned transitional agriculture and neighborhood commercial. Currently, the parcel has approximately 2.59 acres of the A3 transitional agriculture and approximately 0.5 acres of the B2. The rezoning would increase the acreage of the B2 zoned area to, resulting in approximately 1.57 acres of the A3 and 1.52 acres of the B2. The subject property is currently developed with a single-family residence on the southern portion, and it is treed and undeveloped on the northern portion. So a little history on the parcel. So prior to 1980, the parcel was zoned General District Agriculture A1, which had a minimum lot size requirement of 20,000 square feet. When the Unified Zoning Ordinance was adopted in 1980, the property was zoned Transitional Agriculture A3. In July of 1989, the previous owners rezoned the northern portion of the property from the A3 to B4, General Commercial. In that same year, the previous owners applied for a conceptual plan, but decided not to go through with the site plan process. In April of 1994, an administrative rezoning was approved, changing the B4 zoned portion to that current B2. And the previous owners opted to remain A3 instead of changing to R4, like the surrounding area. Prior to the administrative rezoning, there was a mixture of A3, R4, and B4 zoning surrounding the subject parcel. There was a strip of B4 also along State Road 472 that got rezoned to the current R4. As previously stated, the proposed rezoning would increase the existing B2 zoning from 0.5 acres to 1.52 acres, making the B2 portion of the parcel conforming. The B2 zone has a minimum lot area of 1 acre, and it is currently non-conforming. The property does have a split future land use designation of ULI and UMI, which is urban low intensity and urban medium intensity. Both FLU designations allow neighborhood convenience uses, and both zonings are conditionally compatible with the future land use. The applicant's intent is to subdivide the parcel at the zoning lines with the A3 portion on one parcel and the B2 on the other. And staff's recommendation is to forward the rezoning to County Council with recommendation of approval. I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Ray. Ms. Bush, you had a question.
I have a few. I'm going to start with, again, the order of operations. Why are we not reviewing this after the lot split takes place?
It's concurrently. He currently has an overall development plan in place to split the lots.
Okay. Because normally, correct me if I'm wrong, don't we normally not like to put split zoning on a single parcel? Like, don't we normally try to correct those issues when we have zoning hearings before us?
Yes, ma'am. But he is going through the process concurrently. And even if he did do the overall development plan before, he would get the, if everything is approved, he would get a notice of intent pending this rezoning. Okay. So, it's just going kind of hand in hand.
Okay. What does it mean when the zoning is conditionally compatible?
That means that there are more criteria that we need to look at when looking at the zoning classification to the future land use designation. So a part of the analysis under the comprehensive plan, I included the location criteria. And so that's kind of the extra step I need to evaluate the zoning classification to the future land use.
One other thing, in the staff report, there was a property location map that had some shade of red at the bottom left corner, and it's unidentified. So I wanted to make sure, I didn't know where that was.
I'm sorry, which page on the staff report?
Pull it up, hold on. It's at the very bottom. It's all your... There it is. It is your subject property map, property location, page 17 of 25. You got some red shade at the bottom of that map, and I would love to know if that's jurisdiction. And which
I
jurisdiction.
apologize. Yes, that's the city of Orange City.
Thank you. I believe that is my final question for now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? All right, so are you the applicant?
Yes, sir.
All right, would you like to...
Mark Lau, 1418 East Illinois Avenue, Orange City.
All right, would you like to comment on what the staff report?
I agree with everything they said. I'd like to thank the staff, your staff, Stephen, Yolanda, Kelly, Kimberly, Christian, Laura, Lisa, Kimberly, Todd, and Monique. They're all phenomenal to help you through this simple process that I thought was simple. It was not simple. But a previous owner, a friend of mine, my mentor, Sandy and Bud Ellis, they started this a long time ago and wanted this, actually was approved for B4, and but health issues stopped him from continuing the situation. I bought the property from them a few years ago, and just going to follow through with what he was intending to do. He asked me to, so that's why I'm here.
All right, sir. Any questions for the applicant? All right, do we have any public participation for it?
No, sir.
You'd like to speak, sir? Okay, you can speak. Come forward and give me your name and address. And when we're done, if you can just fill out a form and give it to Miss Grinnan to my immediate left.
Hello, how you doing? My name is Lewis Adams. This is my wife, Susan. We live on past Indiana Road, which he wants to develop. Indiana Road is a dirt road. It's a single one-lane dirt road. And it's all been zoned residential ever since we've been there. We've lived there over 25 years. And this lot that he wants to develop is right on the entry of the dirt road where all of us live. So, and that dirt road is not maintained by the county. We have to take care of it as residents. So we're not interested in any commercial property being, property being there because it's going to create a big traffic flow on that dirt road. And like I say, it's a one-way in, one-way out dirt road. So we're like oppose the changing and the rezoning.
May we ask what you want to do?
You can ask us, and we'll give him chance for rebuttal. And if I could get you just to have a seat until they're done, okay?
Can we ask what he wants to do with this commercial section?
We can ask that. Yeah, we'll ask that.
Okay.
We can ask that. Okay. What the proposed use is, okay? And I might state it's still, regardless of when he starts to develop, they'll take all that dirt road in consideration. And he probably won't be allowed to have ingress and egress to the property on that dirt road from that, for the commercial side of it, for the front side of it.
That's the only way into the property. It's just the one road all the way down to where we live, which is the end of the road.
Okay. But the front of the property's on Minnesota.
I'm sorry, what?
The front of the property's on Minnesota.
It's a long property. This side is on Minnesota, but the length is on Indiana, and that's where we live at the end of Indiana.
We'll ask staff, but I'm sure this will be addressed during the development portion of that, as far as ingress and egress to your commercial side.
Okay, and just...
It means the entrance and exit to the commercial side.
Just this is a residential area. We're just trying to keep it residential.
Right, right. I understand.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And if you'll fill out a form and give it to Ms. Grennan, please. I'll give you a chance for rebuttal.
Yeah, that the entrance would be on Minnesota, not on Indiana.
Okay.
And I'm the one that maintains the road because the county is supposed to maintain the road, but they do not maintain the road. So I grade the road regularly.
Okay, and what is your proposed use for the commercial, just out of
Say again?
question? Your proposed use?
Right now, I was going to try to build on it myself, but it would take B4 because I have a landscape company. I was going to try to build a shop there. But what Mr. Stephen here told me probably would not pass because of the residential area. B2 would be more residential friendly. And so right now it'd be just up for sale for commercial use, which I believe, in the best interest, the area around there is growing like crazy. 472 is going to become a very populated area soon, and there are going to be some other businesses probably to support that area in that area. So that's what my thoughts were.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for the applicant? All right. Do we have any more public participation forms? None? Okay. All right, sir, we're going to close the floor for public participation and open up for commission discussion and give you an answer in a few moments.
Thank you.
Okay. And I might add that this does go to the county council. We're just making a recommendation to the county council for the proposed rezoning application. So there'll be another public hearing after the fact. And if I could get y'all to hold that down back there. Okay. All right. Any discussion on this request? I'll accept the motion.
I'll make the motion, then go ahead forward. Rezoning application case number Z25010 to the county council for final action with recommendation of approval.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor for Mr. Urson to forward the rezoning application case number Z25010 to the county council for final action with recommendation of approval. And I've got a second from Mr. Costa. Any discussion on the motion? Ms. Bush?
Thank you, Chairman. Again, I'm gonna disagree with staff and say that I do not think that the expansion of the B2 is compatible with the surrounding area. Commercial could be more positioned onto 472, which would be more in line with where that commercial should be located for traffic purposes and keeping vehicles off that residential street and other streets. So that is where I stand. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? We do have a motion on the floor, so we're going to go ahead with the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye. Aye.
Let's take a roll call, please.
Member Erson?
In favor.
Member Craig?
No.
Member Shelley?
No.
Member Costa?
Yes.
Member Bush?
No.
Member Sixma?
No.
Chair Mills?
Yes. Motion fails to carry with a, what is it?
3 to
3 to 4. 4 to 3. And can I get a motion for the affirmative then?
I will move that we deny 7-25 or not. How would that motion
Recommend
go?
denial.
Recommend denial. Thank you. Move to recommend denial for Z25-010.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion on the floor to forward rezoning application case number Z25010 to the county council for final action with a recommendation of a denial from Ms. Bush and a second from Mr. Sixma. Any discussion on the motion? All those in, well,
Might as
let's
well
have
call
another
it.
roll call, please.
Member Erson?
This is for denial.
Yes.
Member Craig?
Yes.
Member Shelley?
Yes.
Member Costa?
No.
Member Bush?
Yes.
Member Sixma?
Yes.
Chair Mills?
No. Okay. All right, that's done with that. Ms. Shelley, can I get the next case, please?
Yeah, well, I guess you can appeal it, right?
No, he's got, it goes,
Going to council anyways.
Yeah, council
Okay.
anyway. I will state that last case will go before county council. It's just going to go with a recommendation of denial. Ms. Shelley, could I get the next case, please?
Yes, sir. Oh, got it, okay. Case number PUD 2410-010, rezoning from the resource corridor zoning classification to a planned unit development.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. And Mr. Shams, this one is you.
Hi, good morning. Stephen Shams with Volusia County Planning. The applicant is proposing to rezone a 67.9 acre rural site from resource corridor to planned unit development. The intention is to legitimize existing uses on 3 contiguous parcels that front Lake Harney. These are being combined into one unified building site with an accompanying lot combination. The site is developed with a approximately 3,000 square foot home, a 2,100 square foot garage, a 3,400 square foot barn, with about 1,000 square foot of the barn being designated as an ADU for a caretaker, a lawful nonconforming 175 foot metal observation tower, and an X-shaped asphalt airstrip. The airstrip was originally built in 2014 by a previous owner for hobby radio-controlled aircraft. It's approximately 59,000 square feet, and nearly half of it is located on an adjacent parcel without any known agreements. The current owner purchased the site in 2021 and uses it for personal travel. As part of the PUD agreement, the property owner has agreed to remove all asphalt from the airstrip on both the subject site and the adjacent parcel and restore it to a natural grass airstrip condition pending FDOT and FAA approval. In the development agreement, the permitted uses include all agricultural pursuits, 1 single-family home and 1 accessory dwelling unit, a fixed aircraft grass landing field for personal use only, recreational areas, docks and boat ramps, and the existing observatory tower. We did write a prohibited use that includes aviation fuel storage and dispensary are prohibited. The development standards also require a 50-foot perimeter setback for all structures except for the existing ADU on the northern property line, which is 35 feet away, and also that this may be reduced to 0 feet at the end of the grass landing strip, as the owner does want it to remain in its current location. The observatory tower is located approximately 300 feet from the northern property line. The site is designated Environmental Systems Corridor, or ESC, due to its environmentally sensitive nature, and nearly all 67.9 acres are within a floodplain with numerous wetlands. The proposal complies with ESC policies by not increasing density beyond the existing 1 unit per 25 acres and prohibiting additional development. The proposal is consistent with the comprehensive plan as it does not authorize additional development, reduces impervious surfaces by removing approximately 59,000 square feet of asphalt, and maintains the majority of the site in an undisturbed natural state to protect floodplains and natural systems. Environmental permitting and county staff reviewed the application and do not object, noting that removing the asphalt and restoring the area to natural conditions will improve site conditions and reduce adverse impacts, particularly to the adjacent property where half the airstrip currently encroaches. If the PUD is approved by County Council, the site will be required to complete a conceptual site plan application with the Planning Office. Overall, staff recommends forwarding this application to County Council with a recommendation of approval, and I'm available for comment or question.
Thank you, Mr. Shams. Any questions for the staff? Ms. Craig?
I'm curious about the abutting property that where part of the airstrip feeds over into that section. Does that owner, the owner of that property, have any requirements for allowing the use?
Well, it encroaches on their property. I believe that's owned by the Fords. So that's a private dispute. We cannot approve an encroachment on another property that is not part of the application. So we are just looking at what the current applicant owns, and the presumption is that they're going to remove that encroaching area.
They're going to remove the encroaching area?
The encroaching strip on the adjacent property.
Okay, but could the owner of that property then come back in any way and dispute this change?
They would have the same rights as an adjacent property owner for a rezoning. We are not approving the legitimacy of the encroaching portion of the airstrips on the adjacent property. That is something that the county does not have the authority to grant.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Bush?
Thank you. And I apologize if this was in the staff report and I missed it. Would the single-family home, more importantly, be permitted today in today's standards with where it's cited?
Yes.
It would.
It does meet the setbacks for RC, and it is consistent with the land use.
Okay.
Density.
Any other questions for staff? Is the applicant present? Good morning, Mr. Watts. Can I get the name and address for the record?
Good morning. For the record, Mark Watts with the law firm of Cobb Cole, 231 North Woodland Boulevard, DeLand. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. On behalf of the applicant this morning, Mad Dog, no Englishman, but some people will get that. This is one of those really kind of interesting situations. It's not often you're looking through an aerial and you find an accidental airport in the middle of the county. Stephen, do you have on the staff report the aerial that you can put back up there that shows the blue parcel boundaries? I think it's part of the map series in the report. Okay, that kind of shows it on the right. This is kind of an interesting situation. Our clients purchased the property as it is today, and then learned after the fact that nothing had ever been permitted with regard to the airstrip. It was an evolution of a grass strip that was used by the prior owner for remote control airplanes. Apparently these were large remote control airplanes. They were quarter scale jet remote control airplanes, which seems like drones that we're attacking people with now. But in any event, we have worked well with staff. I want to thank both your environmental staff and your planning and zoning staff and Stephen for kind of working through this. This is one of those rare instances where we're not coming and asking you to increase entitlements in any way. We're simply trying to legitimize everything that's there, ultimately pull it into one parcel. So you've got basically a family home site. This is a second home for a family that lives in Jacksonville. They happen to be corporate pilots, dad and grandfather, or dad and son. And they have a, kind of like the Piper Bush type planes, the short takeoff and landing type planes you see going into the backcountry, all over the place. So that's the type of operations that you would see kind of coming in and out of here just for personal use. So in regard to Ms. Craig, your question, right now they have a cattle lease that covers the full pasture area, so kind of where the rest of the runway goes off the site. But we don't have any rights, and we're not asking to add that airstrip use onto the property that's owned by the Fords. In fact, I think that's under consideration by Volusia Forever at this point in time for a conservation acquisition. So that portion of it would be deconstructed. One of the key things in working things through with environmental staff was they saw the benefit of taking the asphalt out of the areas that it's been laid down in, and just utilizing it just as a grass strip. So effectively what you'll have is a cow pasture that occasionally planes land on, and as long as they make sure to dodge cows. But in any event, again, happy to answer any questions you might have. It is worth noting there is actually already an approved seaplane base by FAA on this property. If you look on the top left corner, you can come in on Lake Harney and land a float plane and pull it into the little boat ramp area that's up on the top left corner of the property, and that's an existing condition as well. So you'll note in the staff report all of the things that we're going to have to address moving into the site plan to kind of finalize everything through this. So again, stop there. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Ms. Bush?
Thank you for answering this. I think the PUD is a very creative solution for the issues that are on this property from an entitlement perspective. Were there other options on the table besides the PUD that you were able to come up with?
There really weren't. There's actually sort of precedent for this, and I'll give you a little history on it. I think I was in 8th grade, and I spent a day walking from Highway 11 through Tedder's Grove, all the way to Lafayette Landings, which is a airstrip that exists in the middle of the Tiger Bay State Forest, and is on private property, but it's a fly-in community with about 8 or 10 home sites that are around it. It's a grass strip, but it was FR zone property. So it was FR instead of RC, gave us a little bit more flexibility, apparently back in the day, gave my dad a little bit more flexibility to get that approved, as a operating airstrip. So here, we really had to go to the PD route to be able to incorporate it in. And it gave us the flexibility to kind of put some of those other terms in there, like the conditioning the removal of the asphalt and everything else.
Okay.
So, and the prohibition, for example, the prohibition on storage of aviation fuel and stuff on site, that was something the PUD allows us to do as a vehicle. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, any other questions for the applicant? Okay, Mr. Watts, thank you.
Thank you very
We don't
much.
have any public participation forms for this, do we?
No, sir.
We're going to be giving you a decision in just a moment.
Okay.
Okay? I'll take a motion or discussion or whatever we want to do with this.
I'll be glad to make a motion
Go ahead.
that we approve case number Z-25-010 to forward the rezoning application to the county council for final action with a recommendation of approval.
I've got a motion on the floor to forward the rezoning application case number PUD 24010 to the county council for the final action with a recommendation of approval for Ms. Shelley and a second for Mr. Sixma. Any discussion on the motion? Ms. Bush?
Thank you, Chairman. I feel like that should be a part of your monologue, regardless of just you do that and then Ms. Bush, right? For the record, I understand the PUD option. Sorry, Mark. I totally get that. I thought that was a smart move on your part. I am very concerned about the precedent that it sets putting a PUD in conservation land, essentially. I wasn't aware of the precedent on the forestry commercial or the forestry corridor, but that was a long time ago, and I'd rather not set that precedent moving forward. With FDOT's whole airway, the sky airway highways that they're planning, it's going to be a matter of less than a decade before we start seeing more of these types of airstrips where personal aviation vehicles can be landed, take off, and things like that. So personally, for me, just representing this community and knowing that they don't really want to see changes to land use, especially PUDs, I am not going to be able to support this. I understand the intent behind it, though.
Ms. Craig?
I am in full agreement with Ms. Bush's concerns on the PUD zoning, especially now that we've been told there's water taxi access that will be allowed. That to me just opens up too many options, and setting a precedent, I think, would not be in the advantage to the current residents. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, we're going to take a vote. All those in favor, do we want to, let's do a vote, roll call vote.
Member Arison?
No.
Member Craig?
No.
Member Shelley?
Yes.
Member Costa?
Absolutely, yes.
Member Bush?
No.
Member Sixma?
Yes.
Chair Mills?
Yes. Motion carries 4-3.
Thank you for your time. Mr. Chair, can I offer an editorial comment on the PUD?
Yes.
In regard to that, sometimes it's the only vehicle available. So I want to give one other example. Are you familiar with Cracker Creek canoeing over on Spruce Creek? We did that as a PUD because you didn't have the flexibility, even though it's in an environmental area, sometimes you just don't have the flexibility. From a comp plan standpoint, PUDs are conditionally compatible with any of the ESC or other elements of the comp plan. Again, it gets into the detail, and from a precedent standpoint, I think the important thing to remember is no individual zoning case sets a precedent for another one because they all stand alone.
Right.
And so they all stand on the particular facts of that case. So those are I just wanted to offer those points because knowing, going forward, sometimes that's the best vehicle, even if it's in an area where you don't typically see them. But it allows us to put more of those restrictions in place. And Cracker Creek just came to mind when you made your comment.
I don't, like I said, I don't argue why you did the PUD vehicle. I totally agree. And when I looked at that, I was like, of course Mark could come up with that. That's very smart. So I do not argue that. I understand the setting the precedent, we should be individually looking at that. Right. But we're people, and that sometimes doesn't happen. And
Sure.
this body changes over time, and they can go back and look at cases and say, hey, because they agreed to do this 20 years ago,
Right.
we should probably do the same. And I'm just not willing to set that I'm not willing to make that change
Right.
because of that reason.
Yeah, and if memory serves, Lafayette Landing, the other one I mentioned, was actually a special exception. It wasn't a rezoning at the time. So
okay.
that one actually existed. And again,
Things changed.
I was in 8th grade, probably a little bit
Right.
more than 35, 40 years ago. So,
I wasn't going to put a time there.
all right, thank you.
Thank you,
Mark.
Mr. Watt. Okay.
Mr.
that's
Mills, if I could, I just want to kind of tag onto that so
Sure.
there's no misunderstanding. Lafayette Landing was a special exception because the FR zoning permits it by special exception. This property is RC, and it's not permitted by special exception RC. And because of the ESC land use, there is no way to rezone to another classification without doing a comprehensive plan amendment. So the only feasible option is the PUD process, which is listed as a potential zoning in the ESC land use.
Absolutely.
So in that sense, I mean, we've had most of our airstrips have been in ag areas. This is unusual for where it's located, but that's the reason for the PUD is the best vehicle to get there because it's the only vehicle to get there. if you
Yeah,
will.
again, not arguing that,
Right.
just what that does in the future.
Well, I was just concerned a statement of being, precedent setting. It's just that land use or that zoning in Lafayette Landing permitted it by special exception, where in its other ag areas, it is by special exception as well.
Right.
This
And-
is unique.
But remind me that this is the airstrip use, right? Everything else is fine. It's just
Yes.
that we're trying to codify the airstrip
That's
use
correct.
within a environmentally sensitive land area. So that's, again, trying to.
We're trying to,
Cool.
and we're trying to do after the fact cleanup too.
Understood.
This is the best way to handle that.
I'm pretty
as
sure
well.
Lafayette Landing was one of Scott's first cases. So,
Well, I certainly was around when the lawsuit to get access to it.
Okay. All right. Is there any other public items?
No, sir.
Okay. Any staff comments?
Yes, actually, we are very sad that this is Kimberly's last PLDRC. She's leaving the county on March 6th.
Quit on it.
She's
She don't
off
like fit
to
by me.
bigger and better things, but we do wish her well and thank you for the time that she spent with us.
Okay. It's been nice having you. Just got you trained and now you're leaving us.
You're going?
Okay. Any other staff comments?
A few meetings ago, we talked about the stipend, right? And we are now in budget season, and we said we were going to bring that back, or you requested to bring it back for discussion. So if you still want to bring it back, we're going to make it an agenda item for the March meeting. If you do not want to bring it back, please say so now, and then I will not add it to the March meeting.
What are we, what?
The
stipend. You better let a low.
I believe I
My
made
comment to that is you better let a sleeping dog alone.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. Ditto on that.
Right.
But I know where Mr. Costa's coming from.
We know where Mr. Costa
Don't hurt to ask.
I think he seconded the motion when I made. Yeah,
Has
that's
anyone
right.
spoken with any of their commissioners? I have. You have? And what was the?
I've spoken with two, the one that directly represents me and the one that represents the entire county. And they are both in, I wouldn't say
Use your mic, please.
Use your mic.
favor, but to say it was something to consider.
Okay.
Especially when you throw that out.
Can you use your mic, please?
Especially if you, yes, so I spoke to two of the council members, and they weren't, like, it wasn't a resounding, oh, yeah, no problem, but it wasn't a no either. So, and when you bring up the timeline that this number has been this way for X amount of years, they were kind of just like we were when you first brought that up. It's like, really? It's been that long? That number has not changed?
And
So,
what was your reception, Miss Craig?
I spoke to my appointed rep, and he, I approached it the way you did. Should we let sleeping dogs lie, or should we poke the bear? And he said, rather unhelpfully, use your gut. It's my feeling that I think letting sleeping dogs lie is perfectly fine. from my own personal standpoint, how it affects other people, I could see where someone might have a different opinion, but I'm okay with it as is.
Well, don't get me wrong when I say that, because I'm willing to go to battle for it. It's just that we may not like the outcome. That's all. And I'm good either way.
And I want to say that I would put an agenda item for your meeting in March so that you can make a motion and add any other additional information. So that's what you're discussing right now, is if you want me to put it on the agenda to make a final decision on it.
Well, I'll forewarn you, I'm not going to be here next month. So I was going to let you know before I left today, because it's under commission comment.
All right.
So, I mean, it's totally up to you guys to make up your mind. I'll go either way, so I don't mind going to battle with it. I mean, it doesn't, like Mr. Costa said, it doesn't hurt to ask. So I just want you to know where I'm at.
What's the worst they're going to do? Take it away? They're going to take the entire stipend away? It's not.
No, I get it.
Well,
you guys can decide that in March, right? I would go ahead. Go ahead. Put me down for a yes, I guess.
All right.
Okay. So.
And I would love to chime in.
Do you want it on the agenda for March? That's the question.
Our agenda.
Our agenda.
Yeah, we can kick it around. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to be here.
Do we want to?
You already said yes.
Do we want to check with everybody? Because I feel differently, and I would like to have that opportunity. I don't think we put it on the agenda. I have reached out to the person who appointed me. I've not heard back. I let them know how I felt about it. So I just, at this time, I just don't. That's my personal opinion. I would like to hear from everyone else as well.
Okay, on the agenda portion, if it wants to go on the agenda, that's what we're discussing at the moment.
Right. For us to open up the discussion on our floor.
Yeah. You guys want it on the agenda? Give me a yes or no.
You want to?
I mean, my vote is leave as is, but.
Well, I mean, you can talk about it and listen to the discussion if you want it on the agenda, is what she's saying.
Yeah.
Where are you at, Mr. Urson?
No.
No?
No. I originally made the motion, and I think differently now.
Oh, I haven't changed. I'm still a yes.
I'll be a yes, because I'm not going to be here.
So, I mean, you already got a vote right here. So you're looking at 4-2 against. So it pretty much dies, even if we put it on the agenda for a formal vote.
Yeah.
I've never backed away from a fight, so I'm still a yes. Well, but the majority rules. That's how this is democracy, right?
Right. Well, I don't mind taking it to the council.
Yeah.
I will. With the assumption that we're going to.
Well, they certainly wouldn't do it unless we
we're
prodded
going to
them.
get something out of it, because not to put it on. I hate to debate it now, but not to put it on the agenda. This is something. What did I say back since '86?
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't changed.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're asking for something that is just out of this world. And I know, especially you guys coming from the east side over here, there are expenses involved, and I know that we're not covering our expenses because I'm not doing it on my side. So, you want it on the agenda?
And
One
Mr.
more
Chair,
time.
I'm not hearing a consensus, so I think to put on the agenda, I would recommend that it be a vote.
Okay.
Vote it up and down. Right. Yep.
Okay, let's vote it. Mr.
I recommend that it be a vote because I'm not hearing a consensus from the entire board on whether or not to put something on the agenda.
Okay, this is just to put it on the agenda. Mr. Urson. I mean, go ahead.
I make a motion to remove it.
Well, it's not.
It's not even on, right? But it's an old business.
We're just
It's
voting
only
if
ever
we
been a
want it on the
discussion
agenda.
item.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yes, and so I'm saying that I would like to put it on the agenda if you all have a consensus of doing it, and legal is saying that you all should take a vote now to identify if you want to put it on the agenda or not.
I vote not in favor.
Well, there's no motion, first off.
I'll say yes, put it on the agenda.
I have no problem with putting it on the agenda.
Same. Put it on.
feel like it's a wasted effort, so no.
If you guys want it, we can look at it, but I think you know our answer.
Well, I'm gonna put a yes, so y'all can talk, y'all can hash it out.
Thanks.
Just let me know the outcome.
Thank you. Well, I'll text you.
Send me
Okay.
to the woods.
All right, we will have it on the March agenda.
Okay.
And then updates, if you were listening to County Council's meeting on Tuesday, they ruled on the appeal of this commission's order regarding the location of the dog kennel. So they granted the appeal, and for at least for the kennel portion, they have reversed the decision of this PLDRC and basically denied that portion. So the applicant and the owner would have to remove the kennel and locate it 5 feet from the property line. Due to a change of the code, accessory structures below a certain size no longer require a permit, so they just need to pour a different slab and then construct the kennel.
Okay. And along the lines of that, Mr. Soria, I know I voted no on that to begin with, but my thought on that is that I felt from the information that we received during the hearing that there was still an ongoing code violation. Even though we weren't considering the code violation, we were seeing, I wasn't going to facilitate a variance that was still doing the wrong thing. And that was the only reason that I did that. Obviously, council must have thought the same way, but I don't know. That wasn't the reasoning behind it, though, as far as they were doing it on a rule, but from what I was hearing.
So my understanding is it did go through code enforcement previously, and that they had stopped breeding, and then they had stopped advertising or stopped the use of the hobby breeding component, which is not an allowed use unless you get a special exception. And let's see what else. And I think there were multiple issues or multiple complaints on a noise level, but I don't believe any of those has been sustained on, because the barking has to persist for a certain amount of time. At the meeting, we said if there are existing code violations, such as they are actually engaging in an illegal hobby breeding activity or noise persists, that is independent and file a complaint regardless of the decision on the variance. So if you grant the variance, you're still subject to noise and that restriction. If you deny the variance, same rules apply. But a person gets to have 5 personal dogs, and they get to have a dog house at least, minimum 5 feet from the property line.
In saying that, it's not a right to have a variance, though, either.
Yes.
And I wasn't going to facilitate an ongoing code violation. That's where I'm at on that. Not because of where I was at, the distance itself. And I know that most people looked at it, because I did when I first saw it. I said, why not let them do that? But then after I heard the presentation here and also at the council meeting, I just wasn't willing to facilitate the code violations. And that's where I felt. And that's just my opinion. I wanted to explain why I felt that way. Okay? All right. Any other staff comments?
No, sir.
Commission comments? Do we have any? Ms. Bush?
Yeah, I wanted to comment. I made a lot of comments on the staff analysis this time around, and I know that we have a lot of newer staff that are still learning a lot of the requirements and things, but I would really like, I don't know I know you have a review process, but some additional review to make sure that we don't have some of the errors. There were future land use change errors that were in there. Some of the recommendations were incorrect. I just felt like there was a lot of issues with the staff reports, the way that they were written. And then, of course, the special conditions and how those were presented. I really felt like for commercial side, they were very much in favor of it. And on the residential side, it was denial. And I've just seen that trend. It shouldn't be based on that. It should absolutely be based on the code, and I'm just not seeing that, and that's why I'm being very vocal about my opposition to staff's analysis, so I would just love a further review. The other thing, too, I'm AICP certified, so ethics is like a big deal for a certified planner. Some of the things that were presented in there, I don't felt like, I mean, you could argue ethics is very, situational, but I really felt like if someone with AICP would have written that staff report, it would have been written differently. And I think the conditions and the way that analysis would have been done might have been a little different. But that's just my interpretation. In my experience of writing staff reports and going through the variance process at the various positions that I serve. So that's my only comment, and just would like further review of those staff reports so we don't have some of those issues. Thank you.
May I comment on that, Ms. Bush? In meeting the criteria, if you see a problem with the staff report or anything, to debate it at the meeting, I feel that you could reach out to staff and debate that there before it got it.
I did on one of them, and they updated the staff report without track changes, and to me, I didn't know what those changes were. So Stephen got back to me with what those changes were to the analysis, but I still didn't agree, which is why I wanted to make that vocal on this board. So if I do find that there are issues, I absolutely reach out to staff, and I've done that on multiple occasions. This was just really excessive, and I didn't have a chance to reach out on the other two that I felt weren't supportive of that analysis, and so I didn't have the time to send that to them ahead of
And I think that we appreciate you reaching out and letting us know of any errors in the staff report. We have changed some of our internal processes to address those. If you could let us know more than 2 days before the meeting, that would be very great. We all have internal deadlines we're trying to meet for other projects. I don't know if we talked about it on this board, but all of our planners now are full project managers from, initial concept of a pre-application all the way through final site inspection for development projects. So their workload has changed since we have done a bit of a reorganization. So keep in mind the time frame. If you have those, please let us know a little bit more in advance, and then we could give you more of a detailed analysis on what changed. And in this case scenario, it was the wrong staff report that was posted. So there wasn't a track changes that was done. It was just a new one was posted because it was the wrong one that was there in the first place.
Because I just don't feel comfortable about putting staff on the hot seat during a meeting. And have to explain that maybe they could have been preempted before the meeting. That's all. All I'm asking is to reach out to staff and try to. If you can't get it ironed out, then you're more than welcome. Because I respect your conversations on those.
Thank you.
Okay. The other thing is, I don't know if the other members of the board, but I received an invitation. I know I asked, and two others did, for the Club Crestwind ribbon cutting. I just want to advise, and I'll let Mr. Soria talk about it, because we do have a case coming up out there in relationship, very close proximity to that, about attending this in Sunshine. And
So I would recommend that you do not discuss applications that may or may not come before you for consideration, not only amongst yourself. It's obviously, if multiple members of the PLDRC are going there, let's just advertise that ribbon cutting, and may have someone there just to make sure you're protected on a sunshine issue. So, in the event there's, someone takes a picture and two of you show up in the same picture, no big deal. That's like, this is an advertised meeting. I would recommend not having a discussion on future applications with members of the public. One, you'd have to disclose it as ex parte communication. Two, it could rise to the level of a due process issue if you indicate how you're going to vote or indicate, anything other than the evidence that will be presented in the staff report by the public at the actual public hearing.
Okay.
So, and
Well, I
Mr.
felt
Mills,
that
when
needed to
was
be
the
brought
ribbon
up.
cutting so we can?
I think it's next Tuesday, is
Next
it not,
Tuesday.
Miss Shelley? Next Tuesday.
Okay. So
I mean,
we'll.
I'm not saying don't go, but what I am saying is, we do have an upcoming,
Right.
and you can get into a discussion there, and before you know it, you're drawn in, and because, you know, it may look not the best, you know.
So, is more than one of you planning to attend that ribbon cutting? I know Mr. Mills. All right.
Is anyone else going to?
I probably will because I've got some.
All right. So we'll go ahead and we'll
friends
put
out
something
there. I may go.
on the PLDRC calendar saying that one or two members of the PLDRC may attend and participate, so that we're clear from a sunshine issue. I would recommend that you not discuss any future applications that may come before this board with members of the public or amongst yourself, just to make sure we've got a clean record if that item comes before you.
Because I do know that there is a petition going around in that area right there, specifically right next door to that area.
Right.
And I just don't want to get us into a bind here, and I just want to make that to the other members of the commission before they attend it. That's all. Okay. The other thing is I'm not going to be here next month. And, Mr. Costa, it's all yours. All right, Ms. Shelley, I think then it falls into your seat. But, okay, any other commission comments? Any press and citizen comments?
I just wanted to follow up real quick, Chairman. I forwarded that invite to you all so that you have it for sunshine purposes. I do have another question. Sorry, real quick. You had mentioned that we shouldn't have discussions about items coming before us in the future. I'm not sure how to find that out. So is there a way, how do I know that something's going to come before us in the future? Right, you don't. So,
Well, the only reason I didn't hear, this is something that I've seen on social media with the petition.
okay,
And I know what's coming.
okay.
You know, I'm involved in the community, and it's going to be a hotly debated issue.
Okay.
So I just want to keep anyone from, you know, getting themselves in a quagmire there with two PLDRC members, and then it's going to be before us, and then that being brought up in the future. You know, you already made a decision. You was at this event, you know, and so I'm just trying to eliminate any problems down the road.
When is that particular issue going to come before us?
I have no idea.
Don't know.
It's not on the agenda, but it's coming.
Yeah,
I think it's
know
just in an
coming.
application stage right now, so it's I think a special, right now, in its current form, it is a special exception for a truck stop.
Truck stop, yeah.
Okay.
Huge one.
Right.
Now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's current incomplete application, but you know, a lot of these things go to this PLDRC for your final determination. So that's why. So for development things, just basically assume that most, unless it's a rezoning, most things will stop at the PLDRC.
I think that meeting, we're all sick.
I'll be here.
That's going to be a hot meeting.
I'll be here.
No, it'll be fun.
Okay. All right. Anything else? This meeting's adjourned. Well, I'm not. So you got it on your agenda. You got to convince me. No, but it is the principle, yeah.
Yeah, Emily's got to get that. Emily's 5 hours.
Yeah. At least pay for their expenses.
$26,000 a year, but at least expenses.
Expensive.
This morning, came in yesterday afternoon. So there's little things that's like, hey, I'm trying to review it now because I haven't paid for it. Now, it's a travel company. She said, honey, O'Reilly's did you go to? That was on the company dime. We've done the same trip. I mean, we're not, you know.
Well, what the O'Reilly thing is that the fact of the matter is, it's hard to compare one on 15A when you got numerous ones. Then you got one up there in DeLeon Springs. It's in the middle of nowhere.
Right. And it's servicing a different market. And that's the whole
A
thing.
different market?
It's servicing a market that has no other alternative. So I think that's a necessity. When she says she wants to go to Summers by me, you go by there, it's like one car here and there. Most of the car parks full. Even on the
I want to stop that crap there. That's uncalled for. Well, yeah.
That's one thing, but at the same time, that's reflected by the report, so that's a matter of, that's what you're understanding.
But she needs to take it up.
Yeah, no, totally, yeah.
Take it up with staff. Don't bring it here to this meeting. I mean, you know what you know
This is
about
not
it.
the place for it. Yeah, I know.
Are we getting tour groups down through?
Yes, I seen the bus out there.
Was there a bus out there?
No. Hey, Kelly, thanks for your humor today. That was great.
Hey, I guess you're coming back. Right?
You did good, though.
I hear you're coming back.
Are y'all bringing Yolanda back? Y'all bringing Yolanda back?
Where is she at these days? She's at a time.
What are you doing, girl? Leaving us?
I'm running.
Where are you going?
I'm buying the marketplace at Rivertown in downtown DeLeon. I
Uh-huh.
don't know if you know it. Do you know where
Everybody's going. Everybody's leaving.
Anna Bananas is? Or
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
is a 3-story vintage mall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm buying it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, you just, well, I just said you've moved up.
Perfect. Thing. Oh, and this one.
Everybody keeps rotating out one, so. We got 3 new calves too. I should bring the calves in. I should bring them
That
in,
one
let
is
loose.
December's.
Oh,
Send you
oh,
the
okay.
signature, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
So you're going to auction them off, or you're going to?
Well,
You're like, what am I looking
wondering
at?
I thought you was changing something there.
Your one's over to Ocala last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But we got 3 new babies.
Oh, here's your public participation forms.
Kelly used to come out
Thank
and
you.
throw bread and donuts. Oh, go ahead. I need to.
What's that?
I'm gonna call it O'Reilly. Crazy. Good to see you, Al. All right, bye. See you. Bye, guys. Thanks.
Are they? I didn't know that. Okay.
There's gotta be laundry,
Okay, yeah, we'll get it
showers. I'm assuming they've got all those.
It's incomplete, but.
in the building.
The front building, you know, they have like the dual section.
I thought someone already requested all the files.
In the back, they have.
We don't see
Sometimes they do truck washes. My husband used to be a truck CEO, so that's why I'm like knowledgeable, but
My dad was.
There's like a massive demand for trucks.
Yeah.
But it's just always been like council, for what I've always heard for years, it's just not.
We had in 2018 proposing an off-system truck stop that wanted to go in a location, but now I think FDOT is property on-system
East
truck
Truckers,
rest.
yes.
yeah. Well, because they did that big study and identified, I think that they were short like 4 or 5 locations.
Yeah.
I mean, again, in District 5, so that's why I knew it was coming. I think they're building one in
I think
Seminole
it's
County.
concerning because like stop.
They have to stop.
Yeah.
Like they have to.
Yeah, they need to rest, and if they don't have places to do so,
And they run out, and they're not allowed to go any further. Where are you gonna go?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly, yeah.
So interesting. Okay, now I'm caught up on all
But
this.
that project has its property with a huge floodplain going through it, so that's another issue. Where
Yeah, I think it's all A as
Yeah.
well. They have to do a study.
it's like floodplain and wetlands, and they're working independently with development engineering.
Okay.
Because we had a technical review committee meeting, and the county engineer had concerns with what they were showing.
Yeah, with how they were showing it on the site. So.
They didn't agree with their assumptions.
Does that have to go? It doesn't have, because what would be the use that would come before
Yeah.
us? Okay.
Use and just a special exception, basically an overall site plan.
Yeah,
So you can
that's
see
the plan.
Got it.
things all
Yeah.
so you can make a determination. This thing is there, right? So you get a better view than just like. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. Here.
Okay.
It'd be at the level of a conceptual site plan
Yeah,
with this project,
essentially.
so it would be pretty heavily engineered.
At that point,
yes.
okay.
Yeah.
So it would have DRC approval at that
No.
point?
No.
But
No, we want to make sure the use is approved before we
Yeah.
send it through
to
the
DRC,
development.
but you have your technical review.
We've already done one.
We
session.
do that in order to make sure that we get all the red flags, right? We
Okay,
don't want a
okay.
big change in the concept plan because engineering didn't look at it or because traffic didn't look at it, right? That's why we send it through a technical review staff to make sure everybody's seen it once and then all the big ones will change how
And then once the use is approved, then it
I'm just trying to look at, yeah, the same thing with the two lot split with the zone that was denied today.
Yeah.
We've got three zoning classifications.
But he was proposing a change to say. So, because it was this, does this work and then comes up. Sometimes I can find where I can issue a continuance letter saying. Especially because since we did the reorganization, we're all one now, and you don't have two different activity managers or two different processes, so we're just running a lot of these currently now.
Yeah, the way that you describe it, I'm like, well, that's normal, but I work for a small city.
And that's what cities do. Here, it's just, always been siloed, so that's why we just, so it's been a change, a transition for all the players.
I mean, I like it now that it's like.
Keep trying.
So much
All right, guys, I'll see you later.
basically about the property, so it's really good.
I used to have to do the landscape inspection.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're all.
See you guys later.
See you in April. Yeah, architectural review as well. Design standards, the whole nine. So it's good. We've done very heavy training. Yeah.
I can imagine. And so now with zoning, support staff.
We are. So we are still have open technically two new positions right now. One of them is re-advertised. The other one is closed. Not about to hire for it. We have a open development technician position who does like our lot line adjustments and things of that sort and runs our DRC.
Oh.
So we have that that's open, hasn't been posted yet. Allowed to fill it. And now Kim's position is allowed to fill it.
Okay. Well, if you are, let me know, and I can put it out to FPZA and all that, or the Orlando Metro section.
Okay, that works.
Of APA, and I can also share it to, I'm in Central Florida FPZA.
Okay.
I'm not in the Surf Coast. Most of my work is in Central Florida.
Yeah, you just do it around work.
But I do deal with Maryland and City of Area often, so I can get that out too.
Yeah. Yeah. We first wanted, as the planner position as a planner right now, planner one / under something.
Here, I think you can get there based on the existing mix. But,
So we were trying not to have to do it, but I think that would inevitable.
It might be early. Okay. I will continue to send you guys comments if I have them and try to do it ahead of time. I will try not to.
I have the most big one now.
I know.
And we can't do faster.
No, you're absolutely right. And I was like, I should have done this on the weekend, and I usually do have it like Saturday mornings. I'm supposed to do this, and I got sick, so I was like.
I know, everybody's sick.
Yeah.
I'm glad we were able to have already been asked about this, about, because I'm sure you're aware of George. He's contacted us about whether we should appeal processing. So they're already gearing up for this will go to PLDRC. PLDRC will give the final action on the special exception.
I think it's going to happen all in a lot of things moving forward with the board. We're going to appeal the process. They're very vocal. It's okay. I'm just, I still have that whole special oh my God, love it. Council direction.
I know. If I was Carol, I would argue. But I understand where her, yeah, I understand. And you know, their personalities, right? So, I mean, even Jeff and I went back and forth because he didn't agree with some of the things that I was saying. And I was like, look, that's fine, but like there are certain things in here that like you and I absolutely need to hold on. And Danny Robbins was just like, no, blow it up.
Yeah. And what you don't see is that staff have to have vision and direct one-on-ones with all
Yes.
the council members.
I used to do that.
And with our leadership, so time managers.
Yep.
So a lot of all those conversations happen, and then so at the dais is
Yes. No, I understand.
reined in.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I know.
I get it. I understand.
Joked with her, I was like, Claire,
Yeah. I love playing with Claire and Carol. I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I am now very late to get this on, but I definitely wanted to have that. I will do my best to try to get that information to you over the weekend. If not, definitely by Monday. And if you don't hear from me from then I will.
We're going to presume.
Yes. Yes. I'll be like, okay, I have one. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Yeah. Yes. Can I go this way?
Yeah, you
Okay.
should. You're just going to have to, well, I think there's a little yeah.
Hey, Mark.
We're looking at messes and Osteen.
Uh-oh. Should I be involved?
You might want to know.
No, because I might come before you.
Oh.
We just had that discussion.
Yeah, that's right.
You did. No. I will see you all later with my son from school.
Good to see you.
Yes, you as well.
Stephen, this is that one I called you about on Monday. Oh, yeah. The Acorn Lakes.
Oh. Kat said that you had a photographic professor at
Uh,
old extension out there.
Chad, I think, Chad Moorhead may have come in and looked at it yesterday. But Chad got